Now, we all know that WWE just does not get along with the idea of long-term booking. They are afraid of it. They just don't know how to do it anymore. I'm looking at the landscape of WWE news this week, and I'm not sure if you guys realize this. There's an actual pay-per-view on Sunday night that WWE has done an absolutely terrible job with on giving you any sort of match card for Sunday night. Hell in a Cell is on Sunday night. And I'm looking at the landscape of WWE news this week, and there really is no major story for any of us to sink our teeth into. Everything just feels so unimportant. And I'm looking at one particular article, and it's about Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey. According to sources, Becky Lynch is wanted back by Vince McMahon before WrestleMania, for WrestleMania season, and the idea he has in mind is Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 37. It got me thinking, what could we do today that I don't think anybody else in the YouTube wrestling community has done for Off the Script today? And today we are going to book the best possible WrestleMania card that WWE could put on in Raymond James Stadium at WrestleMania 37 next year. And if WWE listens to half of the ideas that I have, we may be looking at one of the best WrestleManias that WWE has ever produced. Also, we're going to go over why Bill Goldberg was in the Thunderdome on Friday night. And I'll give you one clue. It has nothing to do with the fans and everything to do with Vince McMahon and how he thinks about Bill Goldberg. I got your Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, AEW, and NXT ratings, and I got a big story about Stephanie McMahon and Triple H being offered the executive director roles for Raw and SmackDown and why they turned them down. All this plus so much more on episode 348 of Off the Script.
Delete this man.
Alive with it. People still What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. It is Saturday, October 24th, 2020, and this is your Hell in a Cell edition of OTS. Pay-per-view on Sunday night. Not really anything going into it outside of what's happening on SmackDown between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, Sasha Banks and Bayley, Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, which I pray to God is the last that we see of that feud on Monday night. Outside of that, there really isn't much else going on as far as the card for the pay-per-view. WWE has announced Elias versus Jeff Hardy. That really doesn't speak to me as being a pay-per-view match. It's more like a WWE Superstars outing for everybody watching the show, and Elias and Jeff Hardy. But WWE has not done anything as far as Hell in a Cell, which in turn has generated absolutely no excitement. I wonder what all the geeks in the community are going to do as far as their preview and predictions episodes or videos or podcasts or whatever they do here in the IWC. But I will be live on Sunday night. Regardless of what happens, I will be here Sunday night live on Off the Script for the Hell in a Cell post show. So make sure you guys tune into that as soon as the show is over. And I can only pray to God that the show is about 2.5 hours and we call it an early night, because I'm going to need all my energy for Monday Night Raw. Seeing how Monday Night Raw has not changed coming out of the draft, I'm expecting another terrible outing on Monday night and on the USA Network from my good old buddy Bruce. So we got a lot to do today. We got a lot to do this weekend. So make sure you guys set your notifications for everything JD and everything off the script. It's going to be a light news episode. We're going to go over booking this Wrestlemania card. I want to have fun with this. I really do. And I want to get you and everybody else involved listening to the show. Sound off in the comments below. Do you agree with me? What would you change? How would you do it? What would you make this specific title match, that title match? What would you do? Etc., etc. So it's going to be a it's going to be a conversational topic. It really is. And I really want to make it that because it's not too early to be talking about WrestleMania in any sense of the word. WWE wants fans. They're in Florida. Everything is opening up in Florida or has opened up. And WWE is definitely going to do everything possible to make WrestleMania this year, coming up, unlike anything they've done in 2020. They want fans. They want the WrestleMania glitz and glam and the spotlight and the big stadium. They want the full-on WrestleMania production. And it needs a card to back it up. Even if this year's show was in a live stadium, I don't think it would have ended up being a very good WrestleMania. WrestleMania, in my honest opinion, usually ends up being the worst show that WWE puts on because it's only in name. They don't give a shit about the card. They don't give a shit what they do as far as storylines and matches and feuds and, this and that. It's just WrestleMania in name, and they expect everybody to buy it because it's a brand name. It's WrestleMania. It's the biggest wrestling show in the entire world every single year. That's what they hang their hat on. They can't do that this year. They can't. And you're probably asking yourself, JD, why not? Why? It's WrestleMania. They can't do it. Because they went from the PC... and then they went to the Thunderdome, and they said to everybody, oh, look at the big interactive experience that we're going to get with the Thunderdome. Look at what we're doing here. Look at what we're doing there. We're moving from the PC, the gym, to the Thunderdome. Look at all this big, interactive, large-scale fucking fireworks, all this shit. What changed? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So WWE needs to do something as far as getting fans invested and reinvested in their product. And the only way they're going to do that is if they plan out storylines, get you to care, and they execute. That's what we're here to discuss today. So hopefully you guys are interested in that. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be a great show right here on OTS. Follow me on Twitter, man, at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Become a part of the VIP family, the JD's Elite family, right here on Off the Script. If you guys want to become a channel member, I'm working on emotes. I'm going to try and get somebody to make me some emotes for the channel, not only here, but on Twitch as well. So make sure you guys support any way you can. Best way to do that, obviously, is hit that subscribe button down below. If you enjoy what you see or hear right here on the show, hit that thumbs up. Thumbs up helps out the channel, helps out the video. It is a great tool. It takes absolutely no effort. So if you guys can get 1,500 likes on this video, that is the goal today. Make sure you guys go and do that for me. Helps out tremendously. If you want to support the show, Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. I am in talks with my management team right now. We are just lining things up for the Patreon going into the holidays, man. There's going to be a bunch of cool perks, and it's going to be just a whole new thing on Patreon. So I can't wait to get that started. We're going to get exclusive t-shirts. I'm going to get Salrex to make me a new t-shirt. Are We Live has grown into its own thing every time we do the podcast live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. So we're going to get an Are You Live or Are We Live t-shirt for the Patreons exclusively. That's going to be in a bundle for the new and improved Patreon. We're going to get JD hats. We're going to get legit off the script fitted caps. It's going to be great. So I'm working on that with my management team. I'm working on that with my analytical team. We're going to do it, and we're going to execute, and it's going to be great for the holiday season, man. A couple extra perks as well. we will be discussing that as the weeks go on, which before you know it, it'll be fucking Santa Claus coming down your chimney, eating your fucking cookies, that fat slob, stealing your milk, and then leaving you gifts that you didn't even ask for. Clown. I don't want anything. Please, don't bother me. Come, go, and bring me my fucking warm weather and spring training all over again. Please, please, go away. Mrs. Claus can stay, though, man. I heard her gingerbread cookies are fantastic. So much that they give Titus a run for his money. I don't even know if Titus bakes. He might have fucking Dana Brooke baking for him. I don't fucking know. Maybe it's Natalia. Or maybe it's Billy Kay, man. Maybe it's one of the Iconics. They ain't doing much of anything anymore, right? I don't know. We'll talk about it on Friday night, Monday night, wherever the fucking Iconics ended up, man. But gingerbread, man, making me a little hungry here. I got to stop talking about food. Anyway, man, Patreon's going to be great. Also, we got t-shirts, bonfire.com. Go and get your t-shirts. Links are down below for that. Get yourself a new JD's Negan t-shirt. I would like to add another shirt for the holiday season. Maybe we'll do that as well for everybody exclusively on Bonfire. Go and get your masks. Mouthmasker.com is the place. Mouthmasker.com/OTS. Go and get your new black off-the-script masks in stock. Still in stock. Everybody loves them. Go and get them. And today's show is sponsored by the one and the only, man, The Ridge. Ridge.com/script. You're going to use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off anything in their online shop. So go and do that for me. Helps me out, helps them out. And my God, man, I would never stamp my name to a product I don't use. I use The Ridge every single day. It is a part of my daily routine, man. No matter where I go, ridge.com/script and use code SCRIPT for checkout at their website on their shop for 10% off. Let's hit the news, man. I got these stories, and then we're going to bleed into the WrestleMania card and how I would do things going into Raymond James Stadium next year. There was a piece of information this week about Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is not contracted to the WWE. I would assume WWE is going to be working with him on bringing him back because Brock Lesnar has not missed a WrestleMania in 7 years, 8 years maybe. Ever since he's been back with the WWE in this second run, he's not missed a WrestleMania. So I don't foresee Brock Lesnar missing a WrestleMania in 2021. It's an easy payday. He's got to show up for 5 minutes, and then he can go back to hunting deer. Simple. Couple of mil, you're good to go. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but I definitely see that happening. Now, there is backstage details on opponents for Brock Lesnar when he returns to the WWE, and let me get this out there right away. I know there'll be some geek in the comment section. Well, but he's a free agent. He could sign with AEW, man. Brock Lesnar is not signing with AEW. So please shut your mouth, okay? He may use them as leverage to get a bigger deal from WWE, but he's not going to AEW. Now, Brock Lesnar has been absent from WWE programming ever since he lost the WWE title to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 36, and it's unclear when he will return. Back in August, reports stated that Lesnar's WWE contract had expired, making him a free agent. Of course, it's only a matter of time before he signs a new deal with the WWE. There's no reason to believe that Lesnar will leave for AEW, like I mentioned. Now, Lesnar, as you guys know, or you might not know, I'm not sure what you know, but Lesnar resides in Canada. He lives in Saskatchewan. The border is currently closed to non-essential traveling. Canada and the United States agreed to extend the closure until at least November 21st. So it's anybody's guess when we'll see Lesnar in the WWE again. Now, Bobby Roode was also one that came out and stated, yes, Robert Roode. Bobby Roode came out and stated that the reason why he was off TV was because of travel restrictions. So if Bobby Roode is able to be back at work, then it should be the same thing for Brock Lesnar. I don't see that being an issue when Lesnar does return to the WWE. The company always uses him for the Survivor Series. And obviously that bleeds into the Royal Rumble. And then that bleeds into WrestleMania. It's very possible that Lesnar will not be involved in any of these shows. But like I said, I just don't see that happening. I think that he'll be at WrestleMania. He might not be there for the Royal Rumble. He might not be there for the Survivor Series. But I definitely see him at WrestleMania. But when Lesnar eventually makes his return to the WWE, there are names that people are talking about with Lesnar in mind for a match at WrestleMania. There is a list. It's not like they are short on opponents for Brock Lesnar. There is a list for Brock Lesnar. Now, Dave Meltzer actually talked about this on Wrestling Observer Live, and he discussed the speculation of a dream match between Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Now, Meltzer doesn't think WWE would run this feud when Lesnar returns, despite Lashley's big push, not only on TV as the United States Champion in the Hurt Business, which the Hurt Business is probably the best thing on Monday Night Raw right now. And speaking of pushes, that's not the only push Bobby Lashley has gone on to have in WWE. He's been pushing himself for this match against Lesnar at any show. It doesn't even need to be at WrestleMania. He wants the match, period. This is the reason why he came back to the WWE. Now, Meltzer doesn't believe WWE would run this feud when Lesnar returns. Meltzer believes that they would put Lesnar against McIntyre or Roman Reigns. Now, I look at that, and that is just utterly boring. That does nothing for anybody. At all. Good thing Lesnar is not being booked by Dave Meltzer. Otherwise, we would have another waste of 10 minutes of our life at WrestleMania concerning Brock Lesnar. Now, per WWE tradition, Lesnar is entitled to a title rematch when he comes back. Why? I don't know. It doesn't fit into the fucking storyline. WWE does not grant rematches for losers. He lost clean. Now he goes to the back of the line. I don't give a fuck if you're Lesnar or Chad Gable. You go to the back of the line. He does not come back and get a title match like that just because he's Brock Lesnar. Everybody should adhere to the same ruling. Now, Lesnar received matches after he lost the Universal title to Reigns and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 34 and WrestleMania 35. Lesnar and Reigns have already feuded on several occasions. Their last showdown took place at SummerSlam 2018, where Roman Reigns defeated Lesnar to capture the Universal title. It's too soon for WWE to run that feud again, especially considering both Lesnar and Reigns now portray heel characters and are being managed by the same guy, Paul Heyman. Add it all up, and McIntyre makes more sense as an opponent if you're comparing the two, but at the end of the day, even he does not make sense against Lesnar at WrestleMania. Now, why would you do Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar? I just want to get this quickly out there because there's really not much for me to spend on this story because we're going to talk about it when we talk about WrestleMania. Why would you put McIntyre in there with Lesnar? A, is there nobody else better that you could build up against Drew McIntyre? Why would you have to run the same match back? You did that story already. He beat Lesnar. If Lesnar comes back, why would you risk putting him in the ring with McIntyre again just to do 50-50 booking? Why would you derail Drew McIntyre after he loses a WWE Championship, which I think is going to happen at Hell in a Cell? McIntyre is not going to be the WWE Champion going into WrestleMania, so I don't know why you would put him against Brock Lesnar. And if that's the case, who do you think's going to win? Lesnar's going to get his win back. What would it do for Drew McIntyre if he goes into WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar and beats him again when there's nothing on the line? What, is Lesnar coming back for revenge? Why the fuck would Lesnar care about Drew McIntyre if he's not the WWE Champion? He wants the title. So it doesn't make sense. How could you enhance Drew McIntyre any more than you did at WrestleMania this year when he beat Lesnar for the title? It doesn't make sense. And don't even get me started on Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. That's just fucking retarded. It really is. You gotta be mental to think that match makes sense. Oh, look, it's a different story now. They're both heels. Maybe Lesnar can turn on Paul Heyman for turning his back and aligning himself with Roman Reigns. Really? I don't think that's the brightest idea there. I don't give a shit what Roman Reigns' role is on TV right now. I don't care. The match has been done to death. I don't want to see Lesnar as a face. I don't want to see Lesnar broken away from Paul Heyman. In fact, nobody should be booking Paul Heyman to be split from Brock Lesnar. If they want to coexist in the same fucking faction as Paul Heyman, guys, then so be it. We don't need that at all on our televisions. In fact, I got Roman Reigns pegged against somebody else not named Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And Brock Lesnar, I think there are others on the roster that would fare much better against the Beast incarnate. These two matches do not make any sense whatsoever, and they do not get people excited about a WrestleMania card. When you think WrestleMania, you think fresh. You think new. WWE sounds like they want to do a redo, a do-over for WrestleMania 37 and make it similar to what WrestleMania 36 was and present the same card that they couldn't next year. I don't think that makes sense at all. I want to erase this WrestleMania 36 from our memories. It happened in front of nobody, and you did it. That's it. Move on. You don't need to do everything over again because now you're going to have fans, and this year you didn't. Lesnar is much better off against a new opponent and not wrestling for the WWE title. Now, moving on. We'll come back to Brock Lesnar in just a little bit. Ronda Rousey was in the news this week, and Vince McMahon wants Becky Lynch back on TV. Ronda Rousey, as it pertains to her, she's training with Natalya, she's training with TJ Wilson, Natty's husband, she's training with James Storm. And Ronda Rousey's planned opponent for WrestleMania obviously is going to be leading to Becky Lynch. Now, the planned opponent for Ronda Rousey upon her return has been revealed, and it's been reported that Rousey is expected back for a match at next year's WrestleMania, and she's been training in the ring, like I just said. According to WrestlingNews.co, Vince McMahon is planning on both Rousey and Becky Lynch being back by January or February in time to build a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. It was also noted that if the match does end up happening, it could well be the WrestleMania main event, and that Vince McMahon wants WrestleMania to be the show that says WWE is back. Now, if that happens, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It does not need to. What are you going to do with Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch when there's going to be no title on the line? Unless Becky Lynch comes back and you take the title off of Asuka and then put it right back on Becky Lynch immediately because she never lost it. She gave it up to Asuka. And Becky Lynch defends the title against Ronda Rousey. I don't really see that being a logical way to go about it. Why does Becky Lynch need the title? She was the one who wanted to have a kid. She actually interfered in her own career, and she had to do the just thing in giving up the title. You can't have both. So now you got to work your way back. You've been off TV for 9 months. You just can't come back and get a title match. You got to work your way back. And it's not going to be that difficult because the division is fucking terrible. It'll take you 3 weeks to get yourself back into a title match. You don't need to come back and get a title match because, hey, Becky Lynch is back. Hey, man, I'm back. Can I have my title back now? No, doesn't work that way. You got to look at it from Asuka's point of view as well. Can't just take the title off of Asuka. Asuka's been working her ass off on Monday Night Raw for that title all year long. You just can't take the title back and give her the perception of, hey, you kept it warm, you did a good job, you did an admirable job, now it's time to give it back to Becky Lynch because you don't really matter right now. Not really the fairest thing to do. And mind you, Charlotte, the android, will be back by WrestleMania. So Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey does not need the Raw Women's Championship, and nor should it be the main event of WrestleMania. If there's no title on the line, why would you make that the main event of WrestleMania? You're asking for it at that point. You're asking for it. They did it once. It doesn't need to be done again in the main event. The match itself makes sense. I think there's enough interest in a one-on-one match because that's what it should have been at WrestleMania 35. Charlotte should have never been added. She weaseled herself in there because she needs the spotlight. She can't let anybody have the spotlight but her. That's what should have been the match at WrestleMania 35, and now we're getting it 2 years later. So I don't think the title is needed. Now, the current plan for WrestleMania 37 is to take place on March 28th. That is in 2021 at Raymond James Stadium. And Florida has open stadiums for sporting events because they are, as far as the state goes, in phase 3, completely reopened. Lynch is due to give birth in December, so it's up to her to let WWE know when she's ready to make a comeback after all of that is taken care of. I don't know what Becky Lynch is going to be thinking when she has the child. I don't know how soon she's going to be thinking of a comeback. I know she's obviously going to want to be home. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if Becky Lynch can get herself back into ring shape as soon as she has that child before WrestleMania. I don't know. You're definitely looking at it from a way of Becky Lynch in December. It's possible, but we don't really know. And WWE might be cutting it a little close if they do want Becky to come back. I don't know. I don't know what type of shape Becky's going to be in. We don't know how hard she's going to work. Listen, she could be in the gym fucking 5 times a day, 7 days a week. I don't fucking know and be ready by February. I don't know. I don't know. But it doesn't seem like a logical thing right now to rush Becky Lynch back. Becky Lynch didn't add anything to the Raw Women's division when she was there as champion. WWE let her down. So why would you rush this now? I don't think Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey is going to make or break WrestleMania. You could put Ronda Rousey against anybody. You could put Ronda Rousey against Asuka. You could do Ronda Rousey, God forbid, against Charlotte. You could do Ronda Rousey versus Sasha. You could do Ronda Rousey versus Bianca Belair and put over a new talent. You don't need Becky Lynch to come back. What did Becky Lynch add in the division when she was there as Raw Women's Champion? Nobody watched the show for Becky Lynch. She didn't add any value to the show on top of what was already being presented on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, she's Becky Lynch. Yeah, she's great. But nobody's watching this show for Becky Lynch. Nobody gives a shit about women's wrestling unless you are booking it like you care. And WWE has done no justice to anybody on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. So why would you rush Becky Lynch back for a one-on-one match against Ronda Rousey? Now, Paul Heyman might have hinted, I'm not sure if this is legit or not, but he did hint at it in a recent interview that Ronda Rousey has extended her WWE deal. And if that's the case, why are we rushing to get this match now, pulling this woman from motherhood and rushing her back? You rush her back, there's going to be a cause for concern. She might get injured being rushed back. She's been out of the ring for how long now? Right? I don't know why you're rushing this now. If she extended her contract like Paul Heyman hinted, I don't know why you wouldn't save it for SummerSlam. There'll be plenty of time to do the match. If Ronda Rousey is still with the WWE, Becky Lynch ain't going anywhere. She just signed a 5-year deal before she actually went out with the pregnancy thing. So I don't understand why we got to rush this thing. You could do anything with Ronda Rousey. Anything. You could put her in there and build up a new star. You could do something with Shayna Baszler. You could do something with Shayna. I don't really understand why you would need Ronda against Becky then. You got time to do it. It's not that big of a deal. And at the end of the day, and I mean this seriously, it's not going to make or break WrestleMania at all. It's not. It's not. The Raw Women's Championship, listen, it pains me to say, and we all know that it's the reality of the situation. We all know that they work well together. I don't give a fuck about Charlotte Flair. But if Charlotte Flair and Asuka is the Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania, it's not like, no matter what you think of Charlotte Flair, it's not like they're going to put on a bad match. And they got history at WrestleMania. They could build the entire story around Asuka getting her victory back at WrestleMania. Right? Over Charlotte? You got plans. You got scenarios. You don't need that to play out because you want it. There'll be other things that we are going to discuss that are going to make WrestleMania so much better than what WWE probably has planned that you don't even need Ronda Rousey and you won't even be thinking of Ronda Rousey. Believe me. Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg was inside the WWE Thunderdome on Friday for the season premiere. I don't get how you have 52 weeks out of the year dedicated to Friday Night SmackDown every single year, and we got season premieres. You could have done something along the lines of a 1-year anniversary on Fox. That would have made a little bit more sense. It would have been a little bit more humanized. Season premiere. And then what we got on the season premiere was not like a season premiere. Honestly. It's the same shit over and over and over again. Even with the draft, nothing changed. But Goldberg was in the Thunderdome. He was on one of those silly screens in the crowd, virtually. So Inside the Ropes is now reporting the real reason why Goldberg was one of the virtual fans for the show this week during the Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman match for the Universal Championship. The site is speculating that it could lead to an in-ring return for Bill Goldberg. Spare me. Spare me. Now, WWE sources have told Inside the Ropes that Goldberg's return on Friday was designed to give SmackDown a boost in the ratings, which it clearly did not. Oh, man, imagine thinking Bill Goldberg is a draw in 2020, man. You are some delusional fucking geeks, man. I tell you, man. It was designed to give SmackDown a boost in the ratings for its premiere episode, and with the view to putting some wheels in motion for Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season. Now, that would suggest that Goldberg is going to factor into the future of Reigns and his current Universal Championship run. Now, looking at the SmackDown roster, there really isn't much as far as disposable talent for Roman Reigns to kind of go through on his way to WrestleMania. They've decided, listen, Reigns is doing an absolutely fantastic job. It's probably the best thing about WWE TV right now, which is honestly a complete 180 from what I was talking about last year with Roman Reigns. And the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. I fucking hated the Roman Reigns character. And now I absolutely adore it. This is the best work of his entire fucking career with Paul Heyman. WWE has designed these rosters. They've designed these rosters to give Roman Reigns a perfect title reign between when he won it at Payback till WrestleMania. They're dragging this Jey Uso thing out, which is fine. I don't think anybody in their right mind is looking at this thinking that Jey Uso is going to win the WWE Universal Championship. That's not going to be the case. Survivor Series is easy. They gave you 2 months of Jey Uso. Survivor Series is an off month for WWE because they do SmackDown versus Raw. That is the brand versus brand Survivor Series theme that they have and have been doing. And if that's the case, and Randy Orton wins the WWE title, it's going to be Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. Now, again, I don't know. I don't see Randy Orton losing Hell in a Cell, but they very well could because WWE has really hyped up Triple H, notably has hyped up Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. And he actually compared that to it being like an epic match compared to Hogan versus Savage or Hogan versus Andre or Stone Cold versus The Rock is the comparison I think he used, which is fucking ridiculous. You're looking at a Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre match in the same comparison, in the same vein as Roman Reigns, or the Rock rather, The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Give me a break. What does Roman Reigns have to do with Drew McIntyre? Nothing. They've wrestled a bunch of times, but it really wasn't for anything. It was when Drew McIntyre was directionless on Monday Night Raw, when he was feuding with The Shield, and he teamed with Bobby Lashley and Baron Corbin, or Bobby Lashley and fucking Braun Strowman. Any combination of the fucking irrelevancy that came out of Monday Night Raw during that period. So I could see Drew McIntyre winning just because WWE has hyped up a Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns match, but it really wouldn't make sense because I can't see Randy Orton losing again. Again. He lost, and he still got a title match. I can't see him losing again. I can't. I think Drew has done all that he could with that championship, and WWE right now has Randy Orton and Edge in mind because they're building towards that as well. So we'll see what happens there. But they've set these rosters up with Roman Reigns having just enough to get him from Payback to WrestleMania. Jey Uso at Clash of Champions, Jey Uso at Hell in a Cell. We get Randy Orton is my prediction at Survivor Series. What do we do for TLC? I don't know. I don't know, could be a Big E. Somebody told me this week, I was streaming Call of Duty on Twitch. Somebody told me that there were rumors going around that Big E is going to get a match against Roman Reigns before the end of the year. I don't necessarily think that's a good idea because what happens when he loses? Roman Reigns is a fucking tornado right now on SmackDown. Anything in its path will be destroyed. So why are you going to put somebody like Big E, who everybody wants to be the WWE Universal Champion on SmackDown, in a match against Roman Reigns? Now, I'm not saying that they can't rebuild him back up, but why would you initially do that only to have him lose, which is, at this point, an inevitability? You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. I don't know what they do for TLC in December. They could do Jimmy Uso. I have no idea. Just looking at the SmackDown roster, I don't really have a name that's jumping off the page to me about Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship. They could do Braun Strowman again. Actually, no, they can't do Braun Strowman. He's on Monday Night Raw. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I don't fucking know. Neither does WWE. There really is nobody that's jumping off the page. But then we get to January and the Royal Rumble. I could absolutely see Goldberg coming back during WrestleMania season, which is kickstarted by the Royal Rumble. I could see him doing Goldberg versus Vince McMahon, meaning I could see Vince McMahon doing Goldberg versus Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. It's a nothing match. We know Goldberg is not going to win. It's a big match. It's a headlining match, right? It gets Goldberg's name in the spotlight. They didn't do the match at WrestleMania for obvious reasons. Roman backed out. They get to do it in 2021 to kickstart the year. I think that's a good idea. It gets Roman an opponent that he could easily go through. Then we worry about the Elimination Chamber, right? Whoever's going to be winning the Royal Rumble, I see that coming from SmackDown. Roman Reigns might not have to defend the Universal Championship in February. You could give him the night off and get ready for WrestleMania. Why would he have to defend the title there? So WWE's got some ways to get themselves out of, doing too much with Roman Reigns. Goldberg at the Royal Rumble makes the most sense to me. Goldberg versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania should not even be a thought in anybody's head. You do not want to have a redo or a do-over for a match that nobody was interested in to begin with. But Goldberg being back on WWE television, obviously that was set up by design. He was put in that spot during that match for a reason. When that reason is going to become a reality on WWE TV, could be at the Royal Rumble. That's what I think is the best. Now, Vince McMahon was in the news in regards to Goldberg. And I seen this, and it also comes from inside the ropes, because they're the ones that initially reported about Goldberg being inside the Thunderdome and why he was there. Then there was an additional report to follow up to that one about why Vince McMahon doesn't care if WWE fans don't like seeing Bill Goldberg. Now, I looked at this and I'm thinking to myself, okay, WWE, Vince McMahon doesn't give a shit about what the fans think about Bill Goldberg. And then I asked a follow-up question to myself, of course, and I asked, when does Vince McMahon ever give a shit about what the fans think, want, or care about? When does WWE do anything in regards to the fans or with the fans first? They only book their shows with Vince McMahon in mind. They don't book their shows. They don't book Raw and SmackDown with us in mind and what we want to see. They book and write with the idea of what Vince McMahon wants to see. So this is not news to anybody. So Vince McMahon doesn't give a shit if WWE fans don't like seeing Bill Goldberg. And listen to this. According to a report from Inside the Ropes, Vince McMahon still thinks there is money in Bill Goldberg and really doesn't care if fans don't like the fact that he still wants to use the former WCW World Heavyweight Champion on WWE television. Now, they were also told that Vince McMahon couldn't care any less what anyone thinks about him using Goldberg, and that Vince McMahon still believes there is value in the Goldberg name. One might argue that obviously when WWE uses Goldberg on several occasions, that his name value actually decreases in value, and every time he's on TV, that's lessened a bit. But McMahon appears locked in to use Goldberg for the next few years. Goldberg has revealed that his current WWE deal, which expires in 2022, will see him wrestle 2 matches per year. This means that we'll be seeing a minimum of 4 matches from Bill Goldberg before he actually, hopefully, hangs up the boots. It's been speculated that Goldberg may be returning to WWE over the next several months, potentially to begin a feud with either Roman Reigns or Braun Strowman heading into WrestleMania season. Now, I don't understand why WWE would look at us and have that type of attitude legitimately. Like, what do they expect from us? Honestly, what do they expect from the fans? Vince McMahon doesn't care. When does he ever care? But I'll tell you what, Vince McMahon, when he looks at us and he wonders why people do not care, and then he gives the attitude of, I don't give a shit if the fans care or not. I'm doing what I want to do. There's a reason why the fans don't give a fuck about Bill Goldberg. And you can go back to Saudi Arabia in February. Soon as you booked Bill Goldberg to beat Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, in the manner that he did for the Universal Championship, with your idea of Goldberg versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, as soon as you booked the ending to that match, Goldberg became the most hated man in all of pro wrestling. Every single fan across the nation, the majority of them, said, you know what? I don't give a fuck about Bill Goldberg. I don't give a fuck about Bill Goldberg. You don't give a shit about Bill Goldberg. Nobody gives a shit about Bill Goldberg. Now, when I look at Bill Goldberg, I look at somebody who is selfish. I look at somebody that doesn't give a shit about anything around him but his paycheck and himself. Because if Bill Goldberg actually gave a shit about coming back to the WWE, he would have put over Bray Wyatt and said something to Vince. Listen, I'm okay with you using me and you using my name, you using me at WrestleMania to generate some interest here, but I should not be coming in here to beat Bray Wyatt, one of your younger talents that you should be trying to get over and taking the title away from him. What do I need that for? Goldberg should realize, and WWE should realize, that you don't need to enhance a guy that's already in the Hall of Fame. What is Bill Goldberg going to do with the Universal Championship? What does him being the Universal Champion do for his career? Nothing. I'll tell you what it did for Bray Wyatt's career. You fucking killed him, and he's never looked the same. That will hang over that Fiend character until that character is dead and buried and retired. Bray Wyatt was fucked, and he will never recover from that situation at all. So when you want to bring Bill Goldberg into the WWE again for the next 2 years for a total of 4 matches, and you wonder why the fans don't give a shit about Bill Goldberg in any sense of the word, no matter who he's in the ring with, you're going to look at that situation, and that's the answer. Bill Goldberg is somebody that is now vilified, and rightfully so, because WWE booked him in a absolutely horrendous way, and he is a selfish prick. He should have never went into that match saying, you know what, I'll gladly take this Universal title. At all. I don't give a shit if the Fiend was the Universal Champion going into WrestleMania. That is what the WWE should be building around. Its future. They should not be building and enhancing a guy who's already had a career that many wish they could fucking have. That they will never see. Vince McMahon doesn't give a shit about us and our disdain for Bill Goldberg on television. When has Vince McMahon ever given a shit about what we think, what we want, what we feel, what we want to see? Never. When he's gone, that'll be the day WWE cares, because somebody will be in his place that actually knows what the fans want and what the fans want to see. Vince McMahon doesn't give a shit if fans don't like seeing Goldberg. Goldberg is not going to be wanted or seen by the fans because of what you did in Saudi Arabia. Simple. WrestleMania 37. Goldberg's going to be at WrestleMania. I would assume so. I don't know why you're bringing Goldberg back, or the idea of Goldberg in WWE. I don't know why you wouldn't put him in a WrestleMania match. One of those matches, if he's got 2 matches per year. One of those matches is definitely going to be a Saudi match. Can't have him on 2 Saudi shows. That's ridiculous. If you want to use WWE as a way to enhance your fucking revenue stream, I think WrestleMania and 1 Saudi show is the way to go. Because not only is it more prestigious to be at a WrestleMania, why would you want to come back for a Saudi show when it's synonymous with how you fucked up against The Undertaker? Those shows are absolutely trash in any sense of the word. You want some semblance of, hey man, it's Bill Goldberg, at least put him at WrestleMania. And use him in a way that would get somebody over. If you put him on a Saudi show and you put somebody over, nobody gives a shit. At least at WrestleMania, there'll be more eyes on it, and it'll be a bigger deal. You can use him for 1 Saudi show and use him for 1 WrestleMania show. But WrestleMania 37, we're going to book this, and I'm going to run through this and give you my thought process as far as WrestleMania goes. It's not too early to be thinking about this. WWE has made a mockery of the Survivor Series. They're not doing anything as far as Raw versus SmackDown and making the brand split seem genuine and legit, or WWE has not shown us that they actually care. So it's not too early to be thinking about WrestleMania. In fact, I can't wait for the Royal Rumble, because then that would signify, hey, 2020 is over. Let's move on. And the faster we move on, the faster we can forget about this terrible year. In every aspect, WWE creative included. Roman Reigns. Who is he defending the Universal title against? Because, undoubtedly, Roman Reigns is walking into that show as the Universal Champion. So what do you do on SmackDown? What do you do on SmackDown? Is it Big E? No, it's not Big E. Big E should not win the Royal Rumble. Big E should not challenge Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I think if Big E is a single, you wait. You let it marinate. Kofi had his moment at WrestleMania. You do not want the similar parallels between the two. You don't. Roman Reigns versus Big E, I'm thinking more along the lines of SummerSlam. Save it. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. No. It wasn't a WrestleMania match then. It didn't go off as Vince McMahon wanted it then, and we're not going to get it now and have it make any more sense. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns is not the way to go about it. Now, the one match that I do want to see, and I'm not necessarily advocating for him to take the title off of Roman Reigns, is Daniel Bryan. And before I give you my thought on Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns and why I think that should be the Universal Championship match, a lot of you are probably asking yourself, well, JD didn't mention Dwayne Johnson. JD didn't mention The Rock. I don't think The Rock versus Roman Reigns is actually happening. I don't. I know The Rock is filming a movie around that time next year, and I just don't see The Rock getting out of his insurance. Hollywood agencies and all these people have The Rock insured for multi-millions of dollars. They do not want him going to a WrestleMania show, potentially injuring himself in a match against Roman Reigns, delaying what is already a delayed Hollywood production. They don't want that. Do I think it makes sense? Obviously. I mean, to the fucking dummy, to the average goon watching SmackDown, clearly with what Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman are doing, it would be leading to Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, coming back and teaching Roman Reigns a lesson. The tribal chief of the Anoa'i family, you got The Rock to contest with at the end of all of this. It makes sense. I don't need to fill in the blanks there. I don't need to go over why it makes sense. It certainly looks to be heading that way, but I don't see it logistically happening for those reasons. What I want to see, and absolutely, I think Paul Heyman in the ring with The Rock, Roman Reigns in the ring with The Rock, promos back and forth, the story that we've already seen with Jey Uso. Can you imagine the story with Jey Uso being this good already? What it would be magnified with The Rock there? It would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it would only make Roman Reigns' heel run better than it already is. We would see a completed Roman Reigns. A completed Roman Reigns. It would be like the final fucking Dragon Ball Z form for a character. I don't watch Dragon Ball Z, But it would be like the final fucking Super Saiyan form of Roman Reigns, man. He would be absolutely untouchable, you know? So I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. And the longer we go on every year without that happening, the less likely it is going to happen. Because The Rock is only getting older. And how long do you think he's going to be able to keep up that physique and keep in ring shape and do what he used to do at an older age? I just don't see it happening. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship. The story is there. It's simple. It's simple. Roman Reigns was vilified, and he was in the middle of the S movement. Everybody wanted Daniel Bryan. Nobody wanted Roman Reigns. WWE wanted Roman Reigns, and they were the only one that wanted Roman Reigns. Daniel Bryan was a part of the Yes movement, and it was a movement that advocated for him to be the face, the top guy, the number one guy in WWE. And Roman Reigns had a struggle for years because they only looked at Daniel Bryan as the guy. He was the people's choice, and Roman Reigns was never accepted because of what started with the Yes movement. That's the guy they wanted. That's the type of guy they wanted. And the story is just built up already where WWE would absolutely require little effort to even have this make sense. It's there. And with Paul Heyman leading the way, it would be unbelievable. Unbelievable, with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan going back and forth on what legitimately the fans were talking about as far as the two entities on WWE TV back during that time. It would be phenomenal. And when I think of a WrestleMania main event, I mean, I've been talking about this for fucking years. Daniel Bryan as a face and Roman Reigns as a fucking heel. I mean, you can't get any bigger than that. You can't. Bryan doesn't even need to win the fucking title. Save it. Have Roman beat Bryan. Enhance his heel character even more and save it for Big E at SummerSlam. That's what I would do. That's exactly the route I would take. Edge versus Randy Orton for the WWE title. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. I don't know how many people want Edge as the WWE champion. But even if he wins the WWE Championship, give him one last hurrah. He doesn't have to hold it. He could lose it at the next pay-per-view. He could lose it to a young guy, an NXT call-up, an Adam Cole. He could lose it to an AJ Styles. Edge versus AJ Styles. Don't you think those two want to tangle up together in a WWE ring? That would be an easy transition. So Edge versus Randy Orton, I see being the WWE title match. I see Randy Orton beating Drew McIntyre at Hell in a Cell. I don't know why you would have him lose. He lost to Drew at SummerSlam. He lost to Keith Lee. He lost to Drew McIntyre at Clash of Champions. I don't see him losing again. You know, Randy Orton, he's going to need a victory. He's not invincible. If he continues to lose, he's going to be one of those guys that limps into a feud with Edge, because we all know he's losing that. So why not just have him look strong in this Hell in a Cell? And it's been talked about that he thrives in this type of environment. Randy Orton is the type of guy that you're going to put in discussion with the Triple H's of the world and the Mick Foleys and the Undertakers of the Hell in a Cell history. He's had a lot of experience inside that structure. Drew McIntyre has zero experience in that structure. Why would you book him to lose? Randy Orton wins the WWE title, and he defends the title at WrestleMania against Edge. And I wouldn't even have Edge win the Royal Rumble. I don't want to see that happen. The Royal Rumble should go to somebody that is actually going to enhance a storyline fully. Whether that's Daniel Bryan winning the Royal Rumble, so be it. I think Daniel Bryan winning the Royal Rumble would fucking go off like you wouldn't believe. Because people have been looking forward to that for years now, too. He should have won the Royal Rumble back in 2014. He didn't fucking come out. They let Rey Mysterio come out. At number 30, he got booed out of the fucking building. That's what I see happening. Edge, he can win the Elimination Chamber. He can win the Elimination Chamber and win a spot against Randy Orton in that. If SmackDown gets the Royal Rumble, then the Elimination Chamber is going to be decided on Raw. Edge is on Raw. The WWE title's on Raw. He wins that. He wins the right to fight Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Simple. Simple. There's no struggling here with filling in the blanks. I'm fucking giving you the roadmap. Fill it in. The Intercontinental Championship, WWE's second biggest championship outside the World Championships. The Intercontinental title needs to be brought back into relevancy. It needs to be brought back into importance. Sami Zayn should not lose that title. I think Sami Zayn plays a phenomenal heel. He's doing some of the best work of his career. Probably the best work on the main roster he's ever done. He's on fire. Why would you take that title off of Sami Zayn? He is such a good heel. And he's going to need a babyface to take that title off of him. And who's the only other babyface on SmackDown right now that legitimately could take that and you look at him and think, I can't wait to see him kick Sami Zayn's ass? His best friend. His best friend. Kevin Owens, and I know we've done this time and time again, but I think there's been a long layoff. Enough time has passed where they could do the match and have it make sense and have it really be special. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental Championship should be the IC title match coming out of SmackDown. I think that would be phenomenal. How you do it? This is a different Sami Zayn than we've ever seen. Seriously. Kevin Owens is now a face. The last time they were together, they were teaming up. Now Kevin Owens is a face. This gives WWE the opportunity to rebuild on what they had with Kevin Owens when he was feuding with Shane McMahon. He was the biggest babyface on SmackDown. And now we're going back to that with the potential of that happening again. And somebody as good as Sami Zayn as a heel, that could enhance it as quickly as anything, as far as Kevin Owens is concerned, getting him built up to be that big babyface on SmackDown. I think that works. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for the IC title. I think that is the easy in for the IC title having some importance at WrestleMania. The US title. I don't know what WWE does with the US title on Monday Night Raw, but I'm not having Bobby Lashley walk into WrestleMania as the United States champion. I'm not. I'm doing something else with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. You're going to give the US title to Matt Riddle. You're going to book Matt Riddle to beat Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. I think that's a solid match. A clash of styles I think would be very good together. And you build Matt Riddle, you give him some wins, you build some consistency with Matt Riddle on Monday Night Raw to a point where you build him up enough to take on the Hurt Business, not take out all of them, because you don't want to make them look weak, but you have him built up enough and enough momentum underneath himself to carry him to winning that United States Championship. And I think that's the way to go. And his opponent, AJ Styles. Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles for the United States Championship. You keep these two apart because you've already done it 5 fucking times already. And then you have that match at WrestleMania, this time with stakes. With stakes. And I'm not talking about a fucking porterhouse from Bobby Flay. I'm talking about stakes, legitimate stakes. The U.S. title would be the stake that's on the line. Keep them away from each other, and this match could be important at WrestleMania. Jeff Hardy versus Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, in a one-on-one match. Bray Wyatt, we all know, doesn't need a championship. He doesn't need a championship. He's got Alexa Bliss now. That's all he needs. That's all he needs to enhance his character and move his career forward. Instead of moving his career this way, it's moving this way a little bit. Jeff Hardy can come back as Willow. There's been reports of Jeff Hardy pitching ideas to work with Bray Wyatt. Everybody thought that if Bray Wyatt was the Universal Champion on SmackDown, that Jeff Hardy would be a shoo-in opponent for him. And now that they're on the same brand on Raw, it's kind of stupid to not visit the match in a setting like WrestleMania. It could be bizarre, it could be odd, it could be cinematic if you wanted it to be. And I mean really cinematic, not like the fucking Firefly Funhouse match that we got. I mean really cinematic, you know? Willow, Jeff Hardy channeling his inner Willow versus Bray Wyatt. Let them run with it. Let them do what they need to do to make it unlike anything on the show. Jeff Hardy's already laid out what he would want to do with Bray Wyatt, working with Wyndham Rotunda, who's probably one of the most creative guys in the entire company. Having those two guys come up with something on their own for a WrestleMania match, it might be the sleeper match of the entire fucking show. Why wouldn't you do it? And then you got that X factor of Alexa Bliss, which, you know, she's probably going to end up playing Sister Abigail. or morphing herself into a Sister Abigail-like character. Could be really fun, could be really different, could be really memorable. Let them go. Take the handcuffs off the creativity and let those two guys create. That's a WrestleMania match I think a lot of people would like to see. Brock Lesnar. We talked about Brock Lesnar before. Drew McIntyre? No. Roman Reigns? No. Seth Rollins? No. Whoever else you're thinking about? No. No. We're not doing that. We're doing Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee. That is it. That is it. No questions asked. Now, what does WWE have to do? They have to do nothing with Lesnar. He just shows up. He just shows up. Keith Lee, you have him win matches. And I'm not talking about fucking having him beat Braun Strowman by DQ or having him lose every fucking match he's been in on Monday Night Raw, losing by DQ or no contests or whatever the case may be. Keith Lee versus Brock Lesnar is your match. It's simple. It's effective. I think people were very intrigued by their showdown in the Royal Rumble this year. Now, the only thing I would say is you bring Brock Lesnar back and you got him in a match with Keith Lee. Does he lose again? Some of you might say yes. Some of you might say no. But we're in this thing to build new stars. We're in this thing to build new stars. WWE has failed at building Keith Lee. Keith Lee is as irrelevant as Titus O'Neil is on Monday Night Raw. And I don't know. I don't know how that's even possible. How you have somebody like Keith Lee and you can't book him correctly. But Brock Lesnar, if he loses, does he take a hit as far as credibility goes? Because it's almost rinse and repeat with WWE's mentality. They bring in Lesnar, they make him look great all year, have him run around with the WWE title, the Universal title, and have him drop it to the next guy in line. It's like Lesnar is the title. Beating Lesnar is the title, and the title itself is a prop. It's just there. Right? They built up Lesnar with his lore. Oh, you got to slay the beast at WrestleMania. That's the final boss for anybody's calendar year. You're appointed as the next in line. And your end date, your final boss, is Brock Lesnar. And that's what they do. It's been rinse and repeat for the last 7 years. But if Lesnar goes into a non-title match with Keith Lee and he loses and there's no championship on the line, does he take a hit to his credibility? That's what I would like to know. That's what I would like to know. I'm not sure that is really going to be a detrimental thing to Brock Lesnar because we're all in this to put Keith Lee over and build up Keith Lee as a legitimate guy to a point where he should be, after that, the next that we're talking about to be a WWE champion. You could always do Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam and have him go over Lashley in a very competitive match. That would instantly bring his credibility back. Why would you need to worry about that at WrestleMania? I don't think Lesnar losing is going to do anything for Brock Lesnar at all. It's not going to hurt him. It's not going to do anything. He'll go away. He'll come back. He'll still be, oh my God, it's Brock Lesnar. Keith Lee is the one we have to worry about. And like I said, after the Royal Rumble, I think everybody was intrigued with the little back and forth that they had for a 90-second stint in the Royal Rumble this year. Build new stars. Instead of doing Drew McIntyre or Roman Reigns or somebody that we've already seen Brock Lesnar in the ring against at WrestleMania, why not use it for good? Why not use it and give us something new? Keith Lee is that new. That's your WrestleMania match. What do we do with Big E? Big E versus Brock Lesnar is a possibility. He could show up on SmackDown, not show up on Raw, go up against Big E. Big E versus Roman Reigns, possibility. I'm saving that for SummerSlam. You build SummerSlam around Big E and Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. Simple. Very, very simple. Those are your top two matches showcased at SummerSlam. Big E, what do we do with Big E? Big E's on SmackDown. Big E's on SmackDown. Seth Rollins is more than likely going away when Becky Lynch is due to have their child. Seth Rollins versus Big E, a take on the Shield versus the New Day, only in a different format. You got the SmackDown Savior versus somebody who is very open to this singles run. And if you're open to a Big E singles run and you want him to get to the top, he's going to have to beat the biggest heel outside of Roman Reigns on SmackDown. And you might as well start with Seth Rollins. If Big E, in my eyes, is going to get a match against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, then at the WrestleMania show, before we get to SummerSlam, he should beat Seth Rollins, and then you build his plateau from there. The SmackDown Savior versus somebody who is for the greater good of WWE, the power of positivity against the SmackDown Savior and all the negative energy that Seth Rollins has, the lies and the bullshit that Seth Rollins has spewed to WWE. I think it makes sense for a singles match. You build it up as something big with something on the line. This is going to, elevate one or the other. One's going to go here and be closer to the WWE Universal Championship, and the other one's going to take a couple steps back. That's the way it's got to be. You can always revisit this down the line. This could be a Universal title match down the line. You could see this again under different circumstances. But every feud needs a beginning point. You start it off, it elevates one, and then at some point, they get here. And then they meet again. They're even, and then they meet again. Big E versus Seth Rollins is the way to go at WrestleMania in my eyes. Goldberg. What did we do with Bill Goldberg at WrestleMania last year? They put him in the ring with Braun Strowman. It was very predictable. Braun Strowman was never meant to be Universal Champion. They did it because they lacked creativity. They were creatively bankrupt. They didn't want anything special. And they went into it with literally no idea because they didn't care. They didn't care. They wanted to end the show as quickly as they put it together. In the PC. Empty. Now, Goldberg coming back, Roman Reigns is not an idea. Brock Lesnar's not an idea. Keith Lee is not an idea. None of these guys are an idea. Okay? You're not doing Braun Strowman versus Goldberg either. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make... What does Goldberg give a shit about Braun Strowman for? Oh, you took my title away from me. Now I'm coming back to get my victory back. Nobody gives a fuck. Goldberg should not be used to come back to television to get himself a win. He doesn't need a win. You can have him win one match on television if you want. I guess he's got 4 matches. That's what he's contracted. He can win one match, but he should not be winning championships, and you should not be booking Goldberg with him in mind as far as him elevating himself. He is primarily there to put others over. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Goldberg played football. That's where he came from, the Atlanta Falcons. We got Lars Sullivan on SmackDown. He's being built up as SmackDown's freak, and he's not going to lose a match. Vince McMahon is big on Lars Sullivan. If you build Bill Goldberg up as, the Spear, and Goldberg, the undefeated streak, yada, 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 and you take a page out of his football playbook and you talk about his football accolades and what he used to do and how he transitioned into a pro wrestler, and you do the same thing with Lars Sullivan, and Lars Sullivan is undefeated, and somebody comes in, nobody can stop Lars Sullivan, the freak. Who's going to stop him? And Goldberg's music hits. I mean, you talk about a great undercard match that could potentially get Lars Sullivan to the next level without harming Bill Goldberg in any way, doing exactly what Bill Goldberg needs to do, and that's put over new talent. He'll be rectifying at least a little bit. Most of you probably don't even give a shit about Lars Sullivan, let alone wanting him on television. But at least you'd be rectifying a little bit. You'd be moving this way just a little bit from what you did at the Saudi show in February against Bray Wyatt. You killed him. Don't let it happen again this year. You elevate Lars Sullivan just a little bit. Lars Sullivan versus Bill Goldberg. The Spear versus the Freak. I mean, I think that's a great way to go about it. Lars Sullivan, I don't really see anything happening with Sullivan on SmackDown. If you really want another marquee match, another marquee name added to the show, use him and use that to elevate another young talent. Lars Sullivan is that young talent. Lars Sullivan versus Goldberg is the best way to book not only Sullivan, but Goldberg at the biggest show of the year. We talked about Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. That could happen one-on-one. I gave you my opinion on that. I don't necessarily think Ronda Rousey is going to add anything to WrestleMania if she's there or not. I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to rush Becky Lynch back to television. I think you save that for SummerSlam. You don't need either of these women on the show. You don't. If you got a SummerSlam show built around Roman Reigns versus Big E, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley, and then Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. I mean, half of the work is already done for you. Coming out of WrestleMania, you should already have matches in matches in mind for SummerSlam. Don't start booking SummerSlam 3 weeks before the actual show takes place. You need to start worrying about SummerSlam as soon as WrestleMania is in the books and you see that trademark logo on the fucking TV. That's when you should start thinking about SummerSlam. I don't necessarily think these two need to be on the show, but if you're going to do it, either show. If it could happen, Vince is going to do it. I would say wait, because I don't think WrestleMania needs either woman right now. Raw Women's title, Asuka versus Charlotte. Self-explanatory. I don't need to say too much about that. They're the only two legitimate women on the show. Nobody else is there. You could do Asuka versus Shayna Baszler. I would much rather prefer that, but you're not going to keep Charlotte off of a WrestleMania show. She will be there. She will be there undoubtedly, and more than likely, WWE would be giving her the Raw Women's Championship back. I could see that being the Raw Women's title. Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's title. I mean, I don't even need to say anything, man. I don't even have my Ridge wallet in front of me. Take my fucking money. Take my money. Sasha Banks is probably going to beat Bayley inside Hell in a Cell. I know WWE's got this thing with Bayley where she's not signing the contract. She refuses to sign the contract for Hell in a Cell. But more than likely, Sasha Banks will win that Women's Championship. And instead of having her drop it in less than 30 days like WWE has done historically with Sasha Banks, you have that woman have a legitimate title reign and use her star power to put over the next in line in that division, which is Bianca Belair. And my God, if that match takes place at WrestleMania, you may be looking at match of the night at WrestleMania. There's no reason why that should not be your showcase match at WrestleMania 37. None. Sasha versus Bianca is it. No questions asked. What do you do with Drew McIntyre? I know a lot of you guys have probably mentioned to yourselves, or maybe you wrote in the comments, why aren't you booking Drew McIntyre at the show? I'd put Drew McIntyre in a one-on-one match, either with Sheamus or Jinder Mahal. The story there is with Jinder Mahal. You do Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre, and you play off both guys trying to get back into position of WWE champion, where they came from in 3MB. The story would be there. It makes for a good undercard match. I wouldn't necessarily bring Jinder Mahal into feud with Drew McIntyre as he's WWE champion. That's just fucking ridiculous. Have them work themselves up to getting to that point. You could always revisit this match again when Drew McIntyre wins the title back. It's not like he's never going to win that championship back. And hopefully if Jinder can keep himself, healthy, we could be looking at a one-on-one match here with some momentum shifting. And then at a later date, you do that match at a major pay-per-view with the title on the line. So we'll see what happens. Tag team titles. I mean, I'm a broken record when it comes to this thing. No matter who the champions are, whether it's the New Day or the Street Profits or Heavy Machinery, Miz and Morrison, Lucha House Party, the Forgotten Sons come back under a different gimmick. I don't give a shit. A unification match, whoever the two champions are on Raw and SmackDown, you put them in a ring together and you unify the titles and unify this division. Enough! Please! Enough. That's the best way to go about it. And then, this is just me thinking out loud because there are a lot of notable names not on this card, but I am always one to say, you don't need to book everybody on the fucking show because it's WrestleMania. You're just going to muddy everything up. WrestleMania should be used as a platform for people to work towards and get on all year long. You just don't put somebody that's not been in anything on any of the Raws or any of the SmackDowns and give them a WrestleMania spotlight or WrestleMania entrance or WrestleMania spot on the card. Doesn't work that way. WrestleMania and a spot on WrestleMania should be looked at as a luxury. What have you done all year to deserve it? If you haven't done anything, then you shouldn't be there. And if you worked your ass off and proved to WWE that you're worthy of being on the show, then you get booked on the show. Now, this is just me thinking out loud and fantasy booking here. I would cancel Money in the Bank as far as a pay-per-view goes. After what they've done with Otis this year and how they've ruined the Money in the Bank briefcase, get rid of the show. It does not need to be a pay-per-view. WWE have almost given the briefcase to who they deem worthy in the year, and as soon as they give it, they waste it away. I mean, they did it with the women's briefcase. Non-existent. The very next night, it was for the Raw Women's Championship. So they took 12 months of storyline and eliminated it in one night. And with the Otis situation, they gave somebody who was undeserving the briefcase. They gave Otis, somebody who should have never won the briefcase to begin with because he was a tag team wrestler, Bruce, the briefcase. And now they've done everything but book him legitimately. They've booked him in a way where they can't get that fucking briefcase off him fast enough. They don't know what they're doing. They're prolonging it because they know that Otis isn't the right guy. And no matter who is the Universal Champion on SmackDown, whether it's Roman Reigns, whether it's Daniel Bryan, whether it's Big E, no matter what happens from this point on, it's going to expire in April. And no matter who the champion is, Otis is now beating whoever the champion is. So you either have him cash it in and lose, and we end this fucking charade, this embarrassment, or you take the fucking briefcase off of him, put it on somebody else that inevitably is going to lose, and we just wipe our hands clean of this shit. We put the Money in the Bank ladder match back at WrestleMania, get rid of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It does nothing for anybody's fucking career. You build legitimacy and use this as a launching pad, a starting point all over again for the Money in the Bank. What do you do with the Money in the Bank pay-per-view? What do you slide in there? King of the Ring. You make King of the Ring an actual fucking tournament on pay-per-view. You build a tournament on pay-per-view. Knowing how WWE looks at Hell in a Cell, we have nothing booked for the fucking show. It would book itself. So we wouldn't have to sit here as podcasters and complain why there's no fucking card. It books itself. You have qualifying matches, you have a field of 8 or a field of 16, whatever the case may be. Have some of it happen on Monday Night Raw. You have a field of 16, and then the final 8, you compete on pay-per-view. You have a fucking quarterfinal, a semifinal, and a final. And the first set of matches happen at Raw and SmackDown. And you book it as such between Raw and SmackDown. So we get a final between Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. That's what I would do. I mean, I'm having a blast with this shit, man. Imagine this. Just imagine all of this in a creative boardroom with Bruce, Vince, Michael Hayes, Kevin Dunn, and all these fucking clowns, these geeks. I mean, would anybody be looking at me as if, oh, this guy don't know what he's talking about? We can't use any of this. I mean, this is the way it needs to be. I mean, if I'm in that boardroom, man, I'm taking the fucking balls. I'm taking everybody's balls and I'm squeezing them dry. This is what you do. Seriously. There's nobody in that boardroom that's going to come up with a better card or better scenarios, better ideas than I just did in this 30 minutes here. Done. So what do? Money in the Bank? WrestleMania? King of the Ring? You slide that in to fill the void of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view being eliminated. You put the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania. Aleister Black, Ricochet, Ali, Sheamus, Gable, Corbin. Or anybody that I have not used. Rey Mysterio, you want to put Rey Mysterio on there. Buddy Murphy, so be it. Cedric Alexander, so be it. Leave a spot open for an NXT guy to get in there. Maybe he qualifies on NXT. Give him a night at WrestleMania. So be it. It needs to be a staple at WrestleMania all over again. Instead of putting everybody in a worthless battle royal just for the sake of getting everybody on the show. Folks, I'm telling you right now, if WWE listened to half of my ideas here and half of my vision, WWE would be better off for it. I've given you ideas for WrestleMania. I've given you ideas for SummerSlam. And this is just a irrelevant podcast. Like Road Dogg says, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He wants to be in the business so bad, but he's a fucking shill for himself. Meanwhile, I'm looking at the body of work on NXT, and I'm looking at the body of work on Monday and Friday night. And who doesn't know what they're doing? I pose the question to you. NXT doesn't know what it's doing. Monday Night Raw doesn't know what it's doing. SmackDown doesn't know what it's doing. But I just gave you guys legitimately a half a year worth of fucking vision for you to fucking fill in the blanks, build a story. It's all right there for you. Build new stars, build new stars, build new stars. Use veterans as a way to get new stars over. There is a place for them on the show, but there is not a place for them at the top of the fucking card taking spots away. Build new stars. If anybody has any questions about this, I'll see you after class. I want you guys to reach into your pocket and get your mind out of the gutter. I want you guys to reach into your pocket and I want you to pull out your wallet. I want you to look at your wallet and I want you to ask yourself this one very important question. Do I enjoy using my wallet? Do I love my wallet? Can I use a new wallet? If you answer yes to that last question, I have the wallet for you. It's called the Ridge. Ridge.com/script. Ridge has been partnered with me all through the entire year, dating back to last year. I live by their product. I would never stamp my name on a product if I did not use it in my everyday life. I have the Ridge wallet and I never leave home without it. Ridge.com/script. Most people, like you, if you answered yes to my last question, most people are still using wallets designed in the 90s. Carrying around old receipts, gift cards, hotel room keys, pictures you don't even know what they were from, where they were taken. Why are you carrying around this unorganized mess? Most people are now upgrading to a Ridge. Most people are still upgrading to a new smartphone. iPhone 11, iPhone 12's coming out, all the new Samsung phones coming out. Why are you still using old flip phones? Why are you still, more importantly, using old wallets? Listen, man, the Ridge is going to streamline everything you need directly in the current day and age. Features for the Ridge wallet, man. It holds up to 12 cards. Holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including the new carbon fiber, burnt titanium, and the forged carbon, which is my personal favorite. I really love it. Don't take my word for it. They got over 30,000 five-star reviews on the wallet alone, so you know that they have a lot to be confident about. The durable materials means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. You can buy one wallet and carry it around for the rest of your life. The Ridge team is also so confident that you will like it, they will let you test drive it for 45 days. And if you don't like it, which I don't know why, you can send it back for a full refund. Guys, also the most important thing, every Ridge wallet comes with RFID blocking qualities. It's got RFID blocking technology that protects you from digital pickpocketers. Do you feel like it's safer? I do. I always do, man. I know that I can carry around my information, my cards, my ID, and I know I am safe and secure everywhere I go. If you guys want to experience this firsthand, Ridge.com/script. Get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping using code SCRIPT at checkout. Man, oh man, if you ain't using the Ridge, you ain't doing it right as far as your wallet game goes. Ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout. And I want to thank them, as always, for supporting today's podcast right here on Off the Script. You know, I don't want to stroke my own ego, man, but damn! It's like a Wrestlemania card. Telling you, man. Can't mess with my creativity, man. This is why I'm here, for you. To make sense of all this illogical trash. I wish I could do that on Friday and Monday, too, but Bruce and Vince McMahon don't know how to kill their show, man. Friday Night SmackDown The overnight rating dropped below 2 million viewers for the season premiere. So much for the season premiere, huh? The episode drew an average of 1.987 million views, which is down from last Friday's SmackDown episode that did an average of 2.087 million views. The first hour saw a 1.978 rating, and then hour 2 did a 1.995 rating. Last week's show did a 2.156 in the first hour and a 2.017 in the second hour. They pulled a 0.50 in the 18 to 49 demographic, which was number 2 for the night. WWE was not number 1. That was down from the 0.60 rating in the 18 to 49 demo the show did last week. Now, nothing happened on SmackDown at all. At all. The best thing continues to be Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. There was a really, really great ending to SmackDown with Jey Uso being given a chair by Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns turned his back on Jey Uso, prompting him to hit Roman Reigns unarmed. He didn't do it. He ended up giving Reigns a sucker punch anyway. Braun Strowman was used as a catalyst to put over how devastating Reigns is going to be inside Hell in a Cell. There really isn't much there because Braun Strowman is as irrelevant as they come on WWE television, but I get it. It was a nice effort, Bruce. I really appreciate that. So you used him in a way that enhances Roman Reigns going into Hell in a Cell. If I could do that to him, what do you think I'm going to do to you inside Hell in a Cell? And then Roman Reigns ended up beating up Jey Uso at the end of the show, and they got into a big brawl, and it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal. I'm not sure if that's going to close the show on Sunday night. I would not have it close the show. I would put that right in the middle. I'd give Sasha Banks and Bayley the main event billing at Hell in a Cell, but that was a really, really great ending to SmackDown, and we don't know. Now, I'm recording this on Friday before SmackDown, so I don't know what the consequences are for Jey Uso if he loses this match. I believe Roman Reigns is going to be doing that, and when you guys watch this, has already done that on SmackDown. So we will see what those consequences are, whether he takes Jey Uso and gives him a spot in the family, if there's a new stable being formed out of this. The one thing I hope doesn't happen is that they split Jey Uso from Jimmy. I do not want the Usos to be split up. Please, for the love of God, I've already went through enough with the split of heavy machinery. You've already split tag teams in this draft. You don't need to split one of the best teams on the planet in Jimmy and Jey Uso. Give me a break. Street Profits, speaking of tag teams, they went to a no contest with Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. I'm assuming that match is going to be a rematch at the pay-per-view because they have nothing else on this show. So why not? Why not? They'll look back at that no contest and say, hey, we did this, and there was a no contest. Let's do it at the pay-per-view. So we have another match fleshing out the card. We had the New Day farewell. That was New Day versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, and Sheamus in a 6-man tag. The reformation for one night only of the bar between Cesaro and Sheamus. So that's that. So that was good. I mean, New Day, as genuine as they come. I didn't really mind the pre-match promo, but, I mean, give me a break, man. These guys are acting as if they are moving halfway across the fucking country and they're never going to see each other again. Meanwhile, Survivor Series is coming up. The New Day is probably going to be opposing Big E in the Raw versus SmackDown match, so they'll be, which is actually quite the interesting aspect there, they'll be seeing each other there at the Survivor Series. I mean, they do a fucking podcast together on the WWE Network, so for someone like me and you to think this is a farewell, it's not. It's not. These guys will be together. And I think, I've been saying this for weeks, I think this is the best thing for them because you're going to get the New Day and Kofi and Xavier doing their thing on Raw. Big E's going to be a single on SmackDown. Everybody's going to be successful. It's going to be a very fruitful thing, the New Day. So why have them kind of together doing the same thing over and over again? Right? Why would you want that? Instead, split them away and they grow separately and grow further. Elevate more. Right? That's the way I look at it anyway. I don't know. Then we got Lars Sullivan beating Jeff Hardy. Whatever. Jeff Hardy, as if he's losing on his way out of the territory, goes to Monday Night Raw and puts over Lars Sullivan. So that's that. SmackDown. Not good at all outside the Sasha Banks Bayley thing. I love Sasha's promo. I love Bayley as a heel, not signing the contract for Hell in a Cell, and then Roman versus Jay. Those are the only two things coming out of SmackDown worth anything right now going into the pay-per-view on Sunday. Wednesday night, Dynamite and NXT, they dip in overall viewership. Both shows were down in total viewers. It was Dynamite that took the win this week, and the trend of staying outside of the top 10 on cable for the night continued. Dynamite drew 753,000 live viewers, and NXT drew 644,000 live viewers. Last week, Dynamite drew 826, and NXT did 651. I'm not sure. I think it was game 2 of the World Series, so that might have played a factor into that. I think you'll see both shows go up as far as numbers go when there's little to no sports on Wednesday night. Right now, we got the NBA, you got the MLB finishing up their season. So things, I think, will level out to where they should be after the World Series is over. As in most cases, AEW won the 18-49 demographic. NXT ranked 56 in the top 150 shows on cable, and AEW was ranked number 13. In the 18-49 demo, AEW drew a 0.3. In the 18-49, NXT did a 0.16. And then NXT did not chart at all, giving AEW the win in all other key demographics. Now, NXT, I watched NXT. I had some geek reach into my fucking Instagram private messages. Why don't you bring back the NXT review, man? Folks, I'm going to say this as kindly as I possibly can. I am not bringing back the fucking NXT review. Okay? I do the AEW review with Jesse on Wednesday night. I get 12 to 1,300 on a good night, sometimes 1,500, depending on the seriousness and the importance of the show. That is what I like to see. When I come on here, whether it be a day later, I'm fucking JD from New York, motherfucker. You think I'd bring in over 1,500 live? Come on. With the sub base that I got and the fucking rabid fan base I got over here. When I do NXT, no matter if it's a day later, if I did NXT on the same night, 800. Guaranteed 800. It won't even be over 1,000. What's the point? But if I do it on Thursday like I have been doing, 500, barely 600. That's not even worth it to me. You know what I'm going to be doing? I'll be on Twitch. That's going to be my new night on Twitch. Thursday night. We're making a nice little fucking concrete schedule on Twitch thanks to NXT. Thursday night and Sunday night. I added Tuesday night. We're good to go. We're good to go. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. I watch NXT. I'm not bringing the fucking reviews back. Nothing is happening on NXT. Nothing. And that was evident by the show. Now, I thought the triple threat match with Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream, and Kushida was excellent. I just don't know why I should care. Why I should care. What is on the line here? Velveteen Dream is not going anywhere right now. He's in purgatory for the foreseeable future. I feel bad for Ciampa because he turned heel again, and he's in the middle of nothing. He's in the middle of nothing. I think with Cross going down with the injury, it actually hurt Tommaso Ciampa. And then Kushida, they're building Kushida up. I don't know what they're building him up for, but they're building him up. So he got the win. There. Very good match. All three guys worked their ass off. I love all three guys. I think the styles are great, but the right guy won. But what does it matter? What did it do? What was the importance of the match? It was important for Kushida. That was it. Ember Moon, she got a win over Jessie Kamea. Jessie Kamea looked very good. Ember Moon looks fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. They seem to be building a program between Ember Moon and Dakota Kai. So Ember Moon is on her way up, and rightfully so, man. Good to see Ember Moon getting an opportunity and a rebranding of sorts on NXT. Good. It just goes to show you how much of a failure main roster is. Bronson Reed beat Austin Theory twice. They had a situation where Bronson Reed gave him the big splash, and then Austin Theory got on the microphone and prompted Bronson Reed to get back into the ring. You couldn't do that again on your best day, says Austin Theory. And what happened? 10 seconds later, he beat Austin Theory again, and then Austin Theory was shown walking to his car, and he quote-unquote quit NXT. People were telling me he legitimately quit. No. They wouldn't have somebody legitimately quit live on NXT. It's all kayfabe. I don't know what they're doing, but I know he was blasted in that speaking out movement. They might be taking him off TV. This seemed to be a way to write him off TV. I don't know what's going on with Austin Theory. The guy's got everything you need to be the future of the fucking company, man. He's got the look. He's got the in-ring ability. He's got the attitude. So I don't know what's going to happen. Bronson Reed, man, more Bronson Reed. Thick boy. Bronson Reed. Fucking awesome. What do they call him? Colossal Bronson Reed? Whatever. Bronson Reed is the fucking man. I love Bronson Reed, man. Good to see him on his way up. We had Legado del Fantasma defeating Swerve Scott, Atlas, and Ashante Adonis. I am going to be quite frank with you guys. I don't care. I think they're dropping the ball on Legado del Fantasma, and I don't think WWE has done them any justice whatsoever. Everrise defeated Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. I'm waiting. Jesse told me that it's growing on him. I'm waiting for it to happen to me. But I will say this. I mean, for anybody that doesn't like the situation here with Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, I mean, what was Drake Maverick doing? Well, actually, not Drake Maverick. He was actually doing something with Cruiserweight Championship. What was Killian Dane doing on NXT television before all this? Nothing. Now he's in something that actually is growing on people. He's more on TV now than he ever was. So, I mean, this is great for Killian Dane. And if it works, it works. I just don't necessarily look at it as a good thing for the tag team division where it once was. Now we're looking at Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. I don't know, man. Whatever the case may be, it's working. And Killian Dane is now much better off than he was. So spare me the fucking complaints. Casey Catanzaro defeated Xia Li. Apparently they have this thing where Xia Li came up to a interview with one of the I forgot her name. She was interviewed by somebody. I don't know the blonde's name in NXT, but she said it's a must-win situation. They're doing this must-win thing with Xia Li. She was handed a note the week before, an envelope from Boa, I believe. As if you guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. Boa, I don't know. A snake? No, not a boa constrictor, you fucking geek. Boa from the Performance Center. He handed her an envelope, and she was very taken aback by it. She must win. I don't know if this guy's holding her family hostage for ransom. I don't know. But Xia Li lost to Casey Catanzaro. So I don't know where they're going with that, but it's one of the minor storylines. Females got more television time than they deserve, actually. Casey's good, but Xia Li really doesn't do anything for me at all. Timothy Thatcher defeated Anthony Green. This was a Thatch as Thatch can demonstration that turned into a impromptu match. Anthony Green came over from Evolve. He was the student in this showcase. He has a very small ceiling. I do not see much out of Anthony Green in NXT. And then Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan defeated Breezango to become the new NXT Tag Team Champions. Great for Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, but with Ridge Holland going down, apparently there was somebody paying Ridge Holland to take out the Undisputed Era. So with Ridge Holland out, now they transitioned the Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan team to team up with Mr. Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee was revealed as the guy, I assume, that was paying Ridge Holland that they now needed a payoff for because Ridge Holland is out for the foreseeable future. Now Pat McAfee is back feuding with the Undisputed Era. Imagine being so creatively bankrupt in NXT that you got to bring Pat McAfee back after a one-off with Adam Cole to do it all over again. This is how mindless NXT has become. This is how irrelevant NXT has become. And they think they're going to beat AEW with this type of fucking shit. Imagine relying on Pat McAfee again. Now, granted, he had a great match with Adam Cole. Granted, he shut a lot of people up. Granted, he's a good heel and he's great on the microphone. But I don't think anybody wants to see Pat McAfee again with the Undisputed Era when the first time was enough. All you're doing is going backwards now. All you're doing is going backwards. Pat McAfee did nothing to enhance NXT and bring more eyes to the product then, and he's not going to do it now. This goes to show you exactly what I've been saying. NXT doesn't feel the same. And in fact, I'm going to start using Creatively Bankrupt with them too, because if they got to rely on this, then you know something is not right. Somebody left, the head writer left apparently from NXT. They're struggling with things. I don't know what's going on. But this isn't the NXT that I remember, man. They are struggling to put together weekly television and have it feel important. So much so that they're relying on a Halloween Havoc gimmick next week with spin the wheel, make the deal as the big kicker. No, you're not going to beat AEW with a fucking wheel. If somebody's going to be spinning the wheel, it better be fucking Bob Barker. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, congratulations to them, man. They should have already been tag team champions. So congratulations to them. Now, I don't know if they're going to turn heel. Are they heel now, teaming with Pat McAfee? Just very weird to see Pat McAfee aligning himself with Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch of all fucking people. Kind of reeks of last minute fucking, I don't know what the fuck we're doing here, D-O-double-G. Now you know why I don't review NXT. AEW, we had the Eliminator Tournament. We had the entire tournament take place. We had Kenny Omega defeating Sonny Kiss in 13 seconds. Good riddance. Joey Janela was actually supposed to wrestle Kenny Omega, but he was off TV as a precautionary thing because he held a GCW event where several of the talent on that show got positive tests in regards to COVID-19. So that was that. So Jungle Boy, he lost to Wardlow. Wardlow advanced. Like I said, Omega beat Sonny Kiss. He advanced. We got Rey Fenix versus Penta L0M, a.k.a. Pentagon Jr. I refuse to call him by that name, man. That's ridiculous. Rey Fenix beat his brother Penta in a quarterfinal match. And we got Adam Hangman Page defeating Boom Boom, Colt Cabana. So we got Hangman versus Wardlow, and we got Rey Fenix versus Kenny Omega. Or do we? Or do we? I got news on that in just a little bit. Apparently, Rey Fenix is injured, and he will not be in the tournaments. Also, we got the dinner, the steak dinner. It was the Le Dinner Debonair with the Demo God, Chris Jericho, and the ratings ruler, MJF. I might as well talk about this now because I got into a little back and forth with people about this on social media. You either love this or you hate this, okay? A lot of people are hating this because of one very specific reason. Two reasons, actually. People are hating this because it doesn't really depict what AEW is all about. People are claiming, oh, well, AEW was supposed to be sports-centric. They were supposed to be sports-centric, man. What about all the sports-related vibe that AEW was supposed to give us, man? The wins and losses, right? The wins and losses, and they were supposed to be the new sports league. Seriousness, sports analytics, right? The sports feel, making everything competitive and legit. And then we see Le Dinner Debonair with Chris Jericho and MJF. Well, I don't know what the fuck you guys were watching, man, but Rey Fenix and Pentagon were on the same show and went 15 fucking minutes. I don't know what the fuck you want. What are you legitimately asking me about? What about the tag team finals? The Fatal 4-Way that they had on this very same show. Dark Order and the Young Bucks, Butcher and Blade, Private Party, right? What happened? You want sports-centric. Then you got Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston in an I Quit match at the fucking pay-per-view. You got Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes with Orange Cassidy. What the fuck do you want? You got a dog collar match last week, 2 weeks ago. What the fuck do you want? God forbid 6 minutes out of a 2-hour show is Le Dinner Debonair with MJF and fucking Chris Jericho breaking into a musical duet, singing Frank Sinatra. God forbid. God forbid. Then you got the geeks. Let me take a sip of my fucking cold beverage here. Hold on. Then you got the geeks who come to me and tell me, well, JD's an AEW shill. If this was on Raw, he'd shit all over it. Negative. That's a hard no, clown. Okay? So why don't you go back to your fucking cave and get off social media because you make me and everybody else around you dumb. Just by that comment. If this was on Raw, I'd shit all over it. The answer is no. Monday Night Raw is terrible. Friday Night SmackDown is fucking terrible. Better than Raw, but it's also terrible. Monday Night Raw, 99% of the fucking WWE product, never mind fucking Raw, 99% of the creative is fucking egregious. It is horrendous. It is atrocious. They have no room for error. They should be actually in a situation where they're building new talent, wanting to put on new television and new stars and new feuds and fucking get this guy over and get that guy over and write television that makes fucking sense. They don't. They don't. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They are trash. When 99% of the show sucks, I look at this and say, you know what? If AEW did this and Monday Night Raw is in its current state right now, I'm going to say, you know what? Good on AEW for taking a chance. AEW does so much good and their creative is actually logical and it makes sense. So they could do something like this when they want to. Now, if Monday Night Raw was as good as AEW Dynamite, then if this was on Raw, I wouldn't complain. I'd actually embrace it. Another thing is, Monday Night Raw doesn't have anybody on the level of MJF and Chris Jericho as far as a charismatic level. They don't have guys like that exist on the show. So first of all, never mind what I said with what I just said. You don't have guys like that on the show, so you are incapable of doing that even if you wanted to try and recreate that. Can't do it. And another thing, and this is probably the biggest aspect of it all, WWE does not know how to have fun. They don't know how to have fun. So if this was on Monday Night Raw, they'd probably butcher the shit out of it, and they would make it as bad as we all expect it to be coming from Monday Night Raw. They don't know how to have any fun. So for the answer of no, I would say if this was on Monday Night Raw and the shows were actually as good as Dynamite, I would actually embrace it because I love this. I love this. And you know what? At the end of the day, Jericho and MJF don't give a fuck if you hated it or if you loved it or if you were indifferent to it, if you fucking hated it but you laughed, if you loved it but you thought to yourself, man, that was cringe, but I loved it anyway because it was entertaining. No matter what your stance on the product was for that 6 minutes, they don't give a shit. You want to know why? Because legitimately, every single entity in the community and on the podcast scene is talking about it. So they got you hook, line, and sinker. MJF and Jericho have done so much for Dynamite. Such great shit individually, and now together the best thing on Dynamite is them interacting. So why would you not like it? And even if you didn't like it, they have room for error because that's how good they've been. I'm sorry. And then you got the tag team match. The Young Bucks versus FTR is confirmed for the Full Gear pay-per-view. So that's that. Now, I did mention Phoenix. Phoenix is not going to be on Dynamite next week. He is scheduled to wrestle Kenny Omega. Dynamite and Tony Khan are pulling him from the match as a precautionary. And I like this. After what happened with Matt Hardy, they are pulling him because everybody said it looks like he's got a concussion. He looked dizzy. He looked glassy-eyed. And they're pulling him from the match. Phoenix is not going to be competing for the right to face the AEW champion. Not yet anyway. So what they're doing right now is they're doing Omega versus Pentagon. And Omega more than likely is going to win anyway. And Omega's going on to face Adam Page at the pay-per-view anyway. But I would rather Phoenix get healthy, get right. Tony Khan's doing the right thing by taking him out of this thing, putting Phoenix in a DL situation, putting Pentagon in there to replace him for now. You could always book Rey Fenix against whoever wins this tournament or whoever the champion is, no matter what, no matter when. Because we know he was pulled, he won, he was pulled, and he didn't get a fair shot. It's always easily rectifiable when things like this are as simple as this situation. What is not simple is a concussion. He's not going to be ready by next week, and it looked like he got fucked up on Wednesday night. So good on Tony Khan for calling this immediately and getting him out, getting him better, and putting Pentagon in there to take his place. It's always a situation where you can come back to Phoenix getting a shot at whomever the winner of this tournament is or whoever the champion is at a later date. Monday Night Raw ratings were in, terrible as always. The show did a 1.777 rating on the USA Network. That's down from 1.855 million. So the draft, good luck on the draft meaning anything, man. New, fresh, shaking the foundation of WWE to its core? No, it's not. No, it's not, and it will never. It went up against Week 6 of Monday Night Football that featured the Arizona Cardinals versus the Dallas Cowboys that did 11.317 million viewers on ESPN. This was the go-home edition of Monday Night Raw for Hell in a Cell on Sunday night. By the way, I will be live tomorrow night on the podcast, the Hell in a Cell post show. The 18 to 49 demo saw hour 1 with a 0.50 and then a 0.56 for hour 2 and a 0.49 for hour 3. The hourly breakdown is as follows: 1.806, 1.835, and 1.689 million viewers. Raw was egregious. And I don't even want to sit here and go over it, but Retribution was fucking dead and buried, killed. They were destroyed by the Hurt Business, and then they were destroyed by Bray Wyatt. Ali tried to come out and make sense of it, but it failed. He cut a great promo, but it failed. They are dead. Retribution is dead. Okay, they did the Hurt Business versus Retribution 4 weeks before the Survivor Series. Good luck on getting anybody to fucking care about that. Dominic Dijakovic, Teabag, whatever the fuck you want to call him, tapped out. Good luck on resuscitating his career. They are all dead. AJ Styles versus Matt Riddle. It's my Wrestlemania match for the United States title. Let's give these two guys a break. We've already done it on SmackDown. Why are we seeing it on Monday Night Raw again? I don't know. I got news on AJ's new insurance policy in just a little bit as well. Asuka versus Lana. Lana went through a table 5 times in a row. Keep it classy, Bruce. So then we got Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax attacking the women's champion. I don't know what that means. Who gives a shit? Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler beat the Riot Squad, who's on SmackDown. They showed up on Monday Night Raw for what? I don't know. Maybe WWE forgot that they were drafted to the other brand. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke and Peyton Royce versus Lacey Evans. Good luck on breaking the Iconics away to give Peyton Royce a singles push. They take her partner away and only team her with Lacey Evans. So why did you break the Iconics away? Only to team her with Lacey Evans. Doesn't make sense. This is, not that I give a fuck about Peyton Royce or Billie Kay, but it's just stupid. It's just stupid. Jeff Hardy crashed Elias' rock concert. Who gives a shit? He dressed up as a roadie. He swung a guitar at Elias. Elias thinks that Jeff Hardy ran him over. But we all know the culprit was somebody with red hair. Maybe somebody should fill in Elias. I got news on Elias in a little bit, too. Kofi Kingston versus Sheamus. Kofi beat Sheamus. So instead of drafting new ideas, Monday Night Raw drafted SmackDown feuds to Monday night. Because now we're seeing Sheamus end with Big E on Friday, and he's continuing the feud with the New Day on Monday Night Raw. Please, somebody fucking wake me from this terrible nightmare. El Grande Gordo, Otis, dressed in a lucha mask, pink lucha mask, defeated Miz and John Morrison with Tucker. Fucking ridiculous. Listen, I laughed, but it's ridiculous. Just end it. And then they want to know why their ratings are fucking absolutely terrible. Braun Strowman beat Keith Lee. Can Keith Lee be any more irrelevant? Holy shit. This is the same Keith Lee that beat Randy Orton in 8 minutes at Payback, and he's losing to Braun Strowman in 3 fucking minutes due to a headbutt below the belt. Then he called himself the Dragon. The Dragon? How do you look at Keith Lee and get dragons? Please don't tell me. Please don't tell me. Please don't tell me that Bruce looks at Keith Lee and thinks Bruce Lee. Please. Please, Bruce. Please, please. Please. For the love of God. Don't let that be the case. Keith Lee's talking about dragons. The dragon Bruce Lee, right? Please don't tell me Bruce Prichard is thinking of fucking Bruce Lee and he's putting the dragon Bruce Lee onto Keith Lee because they have the same last names. I'm done. Drew McIntyre confronted Randy Orton inside Hell in a Cell. I got news on that as well. Now, let's start with this one. AJ Styles and his new bodyguard. Apparently, as Dave Meltzer put it on the Wrestling Observer Live, the reason why Omagbehen, I think his name is, Jordan Omagbehen, is being presented as AJ's bodyguard and not a wrestler in his own right is because he's not that great in the ring when it actually comes to wrestling. He's 7'3", he's a former basketball player. He's yet to debut on NXT TV because management was aware of his apparent flaws in the ring and didn't want to expose him as a bad worker before he was called up. I will give you this. He will forever be a bad worker because guys that size are not known to wrestle. They are one-trick ponies and they're only hired for their size, and that is it. This guy will be nothing more than a 7'3" freak that stands over AJ Styles as a bodyguard. No matter if he's with AJ or anybody else, the guy will never wrestle because it's just going to be awful. You want flashbacks of the great Khali? There you go. There you go. Jordan Omagbehen. Spare me. Now, he wrestled a few house show matches in NXT throughout his tenure in developmental, but his matches were said to be not very impressive. Good thing I didn't catch wind of those matches. He was originally brought onto the main roster of Backlash to be one of Akira Tozawa's ninjas. Then he became the doorman for Shane McMahon. With that whole ordeal seemingly scrapped and canceled now Raw Underground, now he's the bodyguard for AJ Styles. He signed a WWE contract, did Omagbehen. He signed for the WWE in the same recruitment class as Matt Riddle, Mia Yim, Chelsea Green, who's not on TV, Mia Yim, whose career is ruined now because of Retribution, Humberto! Gives me a reason to sip my cold beverage. Carrillo, Damian Priest, and Daniel Vidot in 2018. That was it. So when you see Omagbehen on Monday Night Raw and why they paired him with AJ Styles, the answer is very simple, folks, because he sucks as a pro wrestler and he will go nowhere in WWE as far as an in-ring aspect goes outside his size. Very simple. So with that said, I hope to never see him in the ring ever on Monday Night Raw. Now, I did mention Elias. WWE wants to make Elias a main event player on Monday Night Raw. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. With no fans, good luck with that. Now, Inside the Ropes writes that it's worth noting that Elias isn't simply on Raw to make up the numbers, and that we'll likely be seeing Elias in a prominent position inside and outside the ring going forward. In other words, WWE sees him as a major player who can fit almost anywhere. While he'll get concerts, small roles in backstage segments, the idea is to make Elias a main event guy and potentially give him a run at the title at some point. WWE believes he's got a wide range of skills and can deliver in a number of circumstances and situations. Yeah, he can. Elias was a great character. Elias is one of those guys that didn't really do anything in NXT but got over immensely on the main roster. He's one of the rarities. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Elias deserves to be a guy that has a run with the world title or a run at the world title. He's not there. I don't think he will ever be there. He's not. And with fans not there, you know, Elias's character takes a massive hit. I don't know what the fans, I don't know if he's a heel, I don't know if he's a babyface. Elias was getting nuclear heat on Monday Night Raw. Now, outside of all that, when you heard that type of reaction for Elias, it was easy to overlook the lack of in-ring ability because he was so fucking over with the fans in the right way. But now, hopefully WWE has fans in attendance and they could act out these plans for Elias. I don't think Elias is a main event guy. I think that ship has sailed. They waited too long. They did nothing with him. Rinse and repeat every single fucking week. He plays guitar in the ring. Somebody interrupts him. They did nothing with him. That ship has sailed. I have no interest in Elias becoming a main event guy on Monday Night Raw. Now, Elias has said that he sees his match with Jeff Hardy as a catapult to get him back into the main title scene. So it begs the question if he'll get the win on Sunday and be in line for a bigger push, or does the fact that WWE sees him as able to make good in any scenario means that when he wins or loses, it doesn't really matter. I think we're going to go with that in the case of Elias. He can win and he can lose, and WWE just sees him as somebody that really isn't going to take anything negatively from a win or a loss, or it doesn't matter if he wins and he's not going to be affected negatively if he loses. That's the type of guy Elias is. Elias is a Dolph Ziggler. He's a plug-and-go guy. You can put him in any situation and he'll make it right. But he himself is not right? Always the belle, but never, or always the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? Never the belle of the ball. That's the type of guy Dolph Ziggler is. That's the type of guy Elias is. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride is what Elias is. So we'll see what happens there. I personally have no interest in Elias becoming a main event guy on Monday Night Raw. Keith Lee, he should be a main event guy, but he has failed miserably thanks to Bruce Lee over there and Vince McMahon. Keith Lee was in New York. Let me find out Keith Lee was in New York, man. I got a fucking word for him. Keith Lee was in New York this week recording new vocals for his new theme music. He debuted on the main roster. They took everything that made him good and cool in NXT away from him. And according to PW Insider, Keith Lee was in New York this week laying down vocal tracks for his new entrance music. He previously did vocals for the song that everyone misses from NXT. Keith Lee is in New York City today doing vocals for a new version of his WWE entrance theme. The limited one, Bruce Lee, already commented on his WWE entrance music. He knew it was an issue and promised that it was being taken care of. This kind of thing takes time, but it appears the time has come to correct this issue. Folks, if you think WWE took away Keith Lee's music because they are no longer working with CFOs and there's a rights issue with the music, you are a fucking fool. The guy came out on that Saturday to defend the title against Karrion Kross. He showed up on Monday to make his debut on Raw. So you mean to tell me that it was okay for him to use that theme music on Saturday, but not on Monday? If it was an issue with CFOs hasn't been with the fucking company all year. So if it was an issue, then he would have had new theme music in NXT. Clearly it wasn't an issue. Clearly the issue was with the main roster. Clearly the issue was with Vince McMahon. Clearly the issue was with Bruce. They got to change everything from NXT that is good. They got to change everything from NXT that Triple H worked his fucking ass off to get over. And they got to break it down and build it in their image, the Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard image. Don't be fooled. Keith Lee's going to show you some fucking bullshit reply. It's not about CFOs. It's about the fact that WWE doesn't give a shit about anything coming up from NXT, and they did it purposely. They didn't need to change anything about Keith Lee. He was ready to go. Just give him matches and let him get over through wins, and they failed to do that. So now he's got new vocals. He's going to have new theme music. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. One thing that I will say about the WWE with these Thunderdome shows, lower the fucking sound of the piped-in crowd. I cannot hear the entrance music. It's such an important aspect of the show. I want to hear the themes that they're coming out to. Seriously. Tad bit lower on the fucking piped-in crowd. Monday Night Raw ended the way that it did. Interesting note on why Raw ended with Randy Orton backing away inside the ring, in the structure, Hell in a Cell, with Drew McIntyre cutting the chain with bolt cutters, slamming the door, and then Monday Night Raw faded to black. The closing, according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, he says this, and I quote, "The closing of Monday Night Raw, with Drew McIntyre closing the door on Hell in a Cell, went off as it was envisioned. The show went off as it was envisioned. We've had a few readers ask if perhaps the company was running late with the segment and ran out of time, but we have been told by multiple sources that the ending we saw was the ending Vince McMahon approved," end quote. I didn't really care about, who the fuck cares? Just get them in the goddamn ring, get the match over with, and get Randy Orton the WWE title. How many brawls? Did you want them to brawl? We've seen how many brawls between these two leading up? Eyes being taken out, and fucking brawls, and punt kicks, and RKOs, and Claymore kicks, whatever. I liked the open to interpretation feel of the ending. Orton's there with a chair, McIntyre closes the door, fade to black. What happens next? Find out at the pay-per-view. I don't like the fact that anybody can have fucking bolt cutters and cut their way into the Hell in a Cell. Are they giving you a foreshadowing of something? That's what I want to know. They didn't really do the structure any good by exposing it. Hey, I got bolt cutters and boom, I could be in the fucking ring. That's the only part I didn't like, but I didn't really mind it. It's open for interpretation, and we've seen these guys brawl how many times, how many months now. End the fucking story and move on to something new for both guys. It's not that difficult. Rey Mysterio. Quick note on Rey Mysterio and the Mysterio family. Rey Mysterio, he says he's 99% ready for a WWE in-ring return. He says this as he appeared on Talking Smack last week. I quote, "I was concerned in the beginning. The procedure was slow at recuperating, but I'm 99%. I'm looking for bigger things to come. I eventually want to get this storyline over with. There's a twist and turn with Murphy trying to get in on my daughter's side, and that makes me angry." So Rey Mysterio is going to be back. Maybe we get Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell. And WWE, one of the reasons why they haven't announced anything is because I think pretty much everybody assumes that's going to be a thing. Maybe we get Rollins versus Murphy. Maybe we get Rollins versus Mysterio. I don't know. But if it goes on any longer, I think I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Dominic Mysterio may lose his last name. WWE registered multiple copyrights for superstars' names on October 13th, according to Heel by Nature. One of the trademarks was for Dominic, spelled D-O-M-I-N-I-C-K, which is not how Dominic spells his name, but it's very interesting. We'll have to see what WWE ends up doing with the Dominic trademark. Maybe it's for Dominic Dijakovic. I don't know. God forbid the guy gets his old name back. If they drop the Mysterio from Dominic's name, then they'll also have to change up the name of the spelling for his first name. So all other names that WWE registered on October 13th were for the NXT UK brand, specifically Joseph Connors, Kenny Williams, Levi Muir, and NXT UK General Manager Johnny Saint. So that's what they did there. I don't know why you would take Mysterio away from Dominic. If you're going to take Dominic Mysterio away and just call him Dominic, who the fuck is Dominic? They did the same thing with Charlotte. Charlotte who? Charlotte Flair. Now she's known as Charlotte Flair. Dominic Mysterio. I don't think Dominic Mysterio is losing his last name. Who the fuck is he if he's not Dominic Mysterio? Anybody could be Dominic. The fucking guy cleaning the toilets at the Amway Center could be fucking Dominic. Why do you need to change something that doesn't need to be changed? This is what you're worrying about. You get into your office, we gotta cut Dominic Mysterio in half. We gotta eliminate Mysterio from his name. That's what you're worried about? You got shows that are fucking at the bottom of the barrel, worst they've ever been, and you worry about changing somebody's fucking name on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Give me a break. Give me a fucking break. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, apparently they turned down executive director roles on Raw and SmackDown. This was according to Fightful Select. You guys know the deal with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. You guys know the deal with Paul Heyman and then Bruce taking over. I don't need to reiterate it to you. But this is according to Fightful Select. According to a report from Fightful, many were shocked when Heyman was hired as the Raw executive director when that decision came. Heyman was reportedly the loudest voice in the Raw writers' room before he earned the new position. Fightful's report stated that Stephanie was asked if she wanted the spot as Raw executive director, and she didn't want the spot, and that she's content with her position. It was also noted that if Triple H wanted the role, he'd have it. Now, I remember the report of Triple H not even being asked. But I think that would be foolish if you're not going to ask Triple H, your own fucking family, if he wanted the position or not. Maybe the initial report was correct. I was assuming that they didn't ask him because they wanted Triple H to worry about NXT in the battle against AEW, and they just gave it to Paul Heyman. Stephanie McMahon, I mean, it doesn't matter if Stephanie was there. There was a report that Shane was there, that he would be looked at as possible executive director. It doesn't matter. Even the McMahon children wouldn't make a difference on a show that is completely spearheaded by Vince McMahon himself. He doesn't even listen to his own grandchildren. So what's the point? What is the difference? It doesn't matter who is there. At least his children would actually combat him on things. He's not going to fire his own fucking flesh and blood. with Bruce and Bruce Prichard being there, Bruce Prichard sucks so much Vince McMahon dick that he's afraid that if he doesn't, he's going to lose his job. We don't need another yes man in there, and that's why the show is as bad as it is now. Bruce is not going to combat Vince on things. He's not going to challenge Vince on things. He's not going to try and change Vince's mind for the logical way. He's just going to yes Vince to death. If Vince comes up with an idea, yes. And he's not going to combat it if it doesn't make sense or not. He's not going to do it. That's why Bruce needs to go. So Stephanie and Shane, I think, would argue with Vince on if things made sense or not. And he's not going to fire his own children. They're not going to find themselves unemployed from WWE. Now, there's a lot of pressure when it comes to working on the creative side of things. Vince has fired several writers over the past 2 years, and it didn't take him long to remove Eric Bischoff and Heyman. We all know why they did. But so far, Prichard has proven that he is not the right man for the job. So something needs to be done, and changes need to be made. Changes need to be made, I'm sorry, for the reasons that I gave you. Then there was an additional follow-up story to this. And there's a backstage belief on Vince McMahon delegating creative to Triple H and Paul Heyman. Even now. Ringside News has said that Vince McMahon doesn't know what he wants. He's complicated when he wants things done. Now, Ringside News has broken a lot of stories that I find to be legit as of late. And there's a backstage belief, and they've learned that Vince McMahon missed opportunities to delegate responsibility, especially to Paul Heyman and Triple H. A tenured member of the writing team with close knowledge to the situation told Ringside News both Heyman and Triple H have shown they can do it. It was also said that both Heyman and Triple H understand how to move the product forward, and they also get the most out of talent, which I absolutely know to be factual information. I mean, we've seen it with Triple H before. This year, not so much. But NXT 2-3 years ago, absolutely. Paul Heyman with the ideas that he had. Yes, absolutely. He's moving Roman Reigns forward right now. So clearly he knows what he's doing. Triple H, I know that man knows what he's doing. If Triple H is running, I swear to Christ, if Triple H is running Monday Night Raw and Vince is not an issue and Vince is not in his ear and Triple H has a clear path with no fucking filter, of outside sources coming in. If Triple H is there by himself and you give this man 18 to 24 months, I guarantee you that Monday Night Raw would be better off for it. And it's going to be longer to resuscitate and rebuild Monday Night Raw. Every week that goes by that this show sucks and Bruce and Vince are there, it's going to be an additional week longer on getting Monday Night Raw back to where it needs to be. Now, Paul Heyman had Vince McMahon convinced to build new stars. Heyman was looking at WWE a decade from now and saw people like the SmackDown catering crew, Andrade, Buddy Murphy, Apollo Crews, Aleister Black, etc., etc. Guys like that he was pushing. Ricochet, Cedric Alexander on Monday Night Raw. He wanted to push those guys. Humberto on Monday Night Raw. And everybody made fun of him for it. Because apparently they're all Vince McMahon cocksuckers. They all don't know what the fuck they need to do, man. They cannot think for themselves, and they're only appeasing Vince McMahon because they are afraid to be fired. So everybody, yes is Vince McMahon to death, and nobody looks at what really needs to be done. Then Vince McMahon grew impatient, which coupled with the pandemic, obviously, and the ratings going down, caused Vince McMahon to remove Paul Heyman as executive director of Monday Night Raw, citing that changes need to be made, or needed to be made, when they did. The changes that need to be made are Bruce and Vince, not the Thunderdome or the WWE Performance Center or Paul Heyman or removing talent or a draft. None of that. You need people there to write the fucking show that aren't named Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard. But if Triple H and Paul Heyman were in charge of these shows, you would see a major difference in what you are watching on Monday and Friday night. I thought that was very interesting. Guys, before we get out of here, on this day, it is Friday at 5:30. On this day, 20 years ago, we lost one of the greatest big men in all of pro wrestling, Yokozuna, a.k.a. Rodney Anawai, Yokozuna was tremendous in the role of playing that character. Now, he was Samoan. And they straddled him with this ridiculous gimmick, and it fit into the gimmicks and the characters of that time period. And he played it off so well. And when you got somebody like Mr. Fuji managing you, God rest both of their souls, I mean, you are being set up for success. That is a recipe for ultimate success. Mr. Fuji's name is synonymous with success up and down the 70s, 80s, 90s in WWE. The guy was a legend as far as a manager goes. One of the best managers that has ever lived in WWE. Yokozuna was a staple of my childhood, to be quite honest with you. You know, when you think of big men, there was not a lot of guys like that during that time. WWE was moving away from that. They were going to the Bret Harts and the Razor Ramones and the Shawn Michaels of the WWF. They were ushering in the new generation, right? But with him still around in that time period, and when he made his debut and they gave him the Rocket Pack, winning the Royal Rumble in 1993, winning the WWF title at WrestleMania 9, and going on for almost that entire year of just sheer dominance until he lost the title at WrestleMania 10. It was unlike anything we've seen. And he is a legend. He's one of the greatest big men to have ever done it. And like I said, he was a staple of my childhood. Just watching him in the Royal Rumble with Macho Man. You know, Macho Man, that was the Royal Rumble that Bob Backlund made a miraculous comeback. He lasted over an hour in that Royal Rumble. I remember it came down to Backlund and Yokozuna. It was, we all knew Backlund was not going to eliminate Yokozuna in that Royal Rumble. Backlund was there. He was gassed. He made a charging attempt at Yokozuna. He was dumped out over an hour and 3 minutes, I believe he lasted. Macho Man was the last one in there with Yoko. He actually knocked Yokozuna off his feet. I don't know if he's the first guy to do that, but I don't know if that's actually in the record books as Macho Man, you know, being attributed to that statistically. I don't know. But it was a situation where Macho went to the top rope to deliver an elbow drop, and man, I don't know who the fuck booked that ending, but it was so ridiculous. He dropped the elbow drop from above. He went for a pin. He's in the Royal Rumble, and I'm to believe Macho didn't know he was actually in the Royal Rumble, and he needed to throw him over the top rope. Why would he go for a pinfall? So he won the Royal Rumble. Yoko won the Royal Rumble, won the right to wrestle Bret Hart at WrestleMania 9. He beat Bret Hart at WrestleMania 9 in a 15-minute match. You know, kudos to Bret Hart for bringing Yokozuna to a 15-minute decent match. It wasn't great by any means. I don't remember at any time in Bret Hart's career before that wrestling somebody the size of Yokozuna. Nefarious things happened at the end. Fuji threw salt in Bret's eyes. Yoko dropped the leg. He won the title. And then here comes Hulk Hogan for the American people, for the good old US of A. And he challenges Yoko to a match and beats him in 9 seconds for the WWE Championship, the WWF Championship. And then the King of the Ring is made. So instead of giving Bret Hart the shot because Fuji cheated for the WWE title against Hogan, they went with Hogan versus Yoko. And then they gave Bret Hart the King of the Ring that year. But with Bret Hart winning the King of the Ring, that left Yoko and Hulk Hogan. You know, Yoko killing Hulk Hogan was iconic. He killed Hulk Hogan in Dayton, Ohio at the Nutter Center. And that was before Hogan went to WCW. He defected to WCW. I'll remember the commentary team that night. It was Macho, it was Jim Ross and Bobby Heenan. Fantastic. Hulkamania was dead. Heenan said that every fucking time he lost the title. But it legitimately rang true on that night. Yoko killed Hulk Hogan. Yoko went on to challenge Lex Luger. Yoko went on to have a memorable feud with The Undertaker. I remember vividly that Survivor Series in 1993 where The Undertaker did not get into that match until a hot tag by Lex Luger. It was the Foreign Fanatics versus the All-Americans. The Undertaker was on Lex Luger's team with the Steiner Brothers. He got the hot tag from Luger. Luger made the tag to The Undertaker, and The Undertaker went wild. It was in the Boston Gardens in Boston, Massachusetts. I never Seen a crowd come alive and unglued like that crowd on that night. Undertaker delivering the flying clothesline. Undertaker fucking taking it to Yoko. He got the belly-to-belly suplex on him. He raised up. He got the leg drop. He raised up. He got the bonsai drop. And Heenan's like, if he gets up from this, I'm a weasel. And he didn't get up. Yoko did the bonsai drop once. Yoko said, you know what? I'm not taking any chances. I'm going to do the bonsai drop again. Yoko does the bonsai drop a second time. Undertaker sits up. And then that's when the match for the Royal Rumble was made. The iconic casket match. Probably the best casket match in the history of WWE. Where Yoko, with the help of Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji, took 13 to 14 heels. It might have been 13 or 14 guys. Every heel that was in that Royal Rumble that year, in that match, buried The Undertaker. You had guys like Adam Bomb, Diesel, Bam Bam Bigelow, Kabuki, Crush, Jeff Jarrett, Diesel was there. You name it. You name it. Head Shrinkers were there. All these guys were in cahoots with Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji, man. I was watching that as a young kid, and I was fucking pissed. I was watching The Undertaker battle back, raising up. He's gonna win this thing. He's gonna fucking win it. And then Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji took possession of the urn. They knocked out Paul Bearer. They opened the urn, and this green mist came flying out all over the place, and you just felt, as a young kid, The Undertaker's fucking power just disintegrating on that night. See, DiBiase was on commentary laughing his ass off, and then The Undertaker was buried. He took a sabbatical, he came back, and then, before you know it, Undertaker was back. He wrestled himself at Summerslam in 1994. Leslie Nielsen did the whole Undertaker vs. Undertaker thing. And then Undertaker buried Yokozuna at the Survivor Series that year with the help of the enforcer Chuck Norris. And that was pretty much the end of Yokozuna. He went on to team with Owen Hart. They won some tag team title gold, I believe. But that was the biggest run of Yoko's career. And on this day in 2000, 20 years ago, we lost Yokozuna, one of the greatest big men in all of WWE history. And I seen that floating around on social media, and I'm like, man, it's been that long. It's been that fucking long that we've been without Yoko, man. One of the best to have ever done it at a guy his size, man. 20 years ago, we lost Yoko. I'll tell you why, man, you guys are going to lose me. I'm getting the hell out of here. I got dinner to make, I got a shower to take, and I got SmackDown to watch, which obviously is live. As you guys watch this on Saturday, it's live on the channel, so go and check that out. If you missed any of the other videos this week, go and check out everything you need down below. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. That is ridge.com/script. Also, go and check them out. Use code SCRIPT at checkout. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Hit the thumbs up. Make sure you guys go and get your masks, mouthmasker.com/OTS. Go and get your t-shirts, bonfire.com. That is the exclusive home of JD is Negan and all the off-the-script merchandise you guys can get, bonfire.com. And I will be back not tonight, but Sunday night for Hell in a Cell. I'll be back live on YouTube for the Hell in a Cell post show right here on Off the Script. Guys, again, please hit that thumbs up, and I will see you right back here Sunday night for the post show for Hell in a Cell. Take care, guys.